Chapter 112. Lin Jun killed 3 beginner warlords in one shot. Although he established his might in one move, he wasn't able to pull the black dragon spear out of the bodies of the 3 people immediately. The surrounding beginner warlords, who were originally scared witless, saw an opportunity and immediately charged forward while yelling, "His spear is stuck, let's go. This is a good chance. Lin Jun, stay here." Lin Jun wasn't in a hurry to pull the black dragon spear out, as there wasn't enough time. He stomped on the ground with the tip of his foot, creating a deep hole in the hard frozen ground. Lin Jun's body shot out like a cannonball. Lin Jun didn't encounter the person who was running the fastest. Lin Jun flashed past him, and before the sword-wielding cultivator behind him could even draw his sword, Lin Jun was already in front of him. All he saw was a fist rapidly enlarging in front of his eyes. Bang! Following the spray of fresh blood, this beginner warlord's neck was broken by Lin Jun's punch. After succeeding with the punch, Lin Jun slightly leaned to the side. A steel blade brushed past his body, missing Lin Jun by a hair's breadth. Pa! Lin Jun landed 5 consecutive heavy punches within 0.1 seconds, shattering this opponent's sternum and causing him to fall to the ground, unable to get up. At this time, the first warlord who charged forward ferociously had just turned around. Just as he turned around, he was welcomed by a silver light. He didn't even have time to react before he was split in half by Lin Jun's sword. The liquid metal once again turned into a belt and returned to his waist. Lin Jun took a step back, grabbed the tip of the black dragon spear, and pulled it out. Only then did the 3 fighters who were skewered fall to the ground. Ignoring the fresh blood on the black dragon spear, Lin Jun once again charged towards this group of fighters. 5 seconds. From the moment Lin Jun landed to the moment he killed 6 people, only 5 seconds had passed. However, this process didn't scare these fighters. They knew that if they scattered and fled, they would only be killed by Lin Jun one by one. They might as well do their best to delay the opponent and wait for the experts to come back and help. Many martial artists became ruthless as they charged over from all directions with strange cries. In the past, Lin Jun would have chosen to resort to guerrilla warfare against these players. However, Lin Jun would not do so now. After leveling up 3 times in a row, Lin Jun's mentality was completely different. "I'll kill all of you." Lin Jun's black dragon spear transformed into a spear light and resolutely engaged in a chaotic battle with nearly 20 martial artists. In an instant, Snow White rose in front of the Xiaodong building. Strong qi flowed in all directions. The sound of swords clashing and screams filled the air. From time to time, fresh blood would splatter and fall together with Snow White. Severed limbs flew into the air and heads rolled. It was like hell on earth. Suna's camera was still faithfully recording this scene. At this time, Suna was so shocked that she was incoherent. "Oh my God! Oh my God! My sincerity must have moved the heavens. Lin Jun is actually still alive. Not only is he alive, but he's also living better than before. He's sitting on a fly. No, it's a jackdaw. It's killing its way down from the top of the Xiaodong building. He's fighting with those martial artists. They're fighting in a big group. Whoa." Suna's hosting skills were so bad that she was incoherent. She did not know what she was talking about. Only the cameraman was more dedicated and kept shooting the video. No one on the internet was listening to what Suna was saying. Everyone was attracted by the battle scene. Is this real? Is this real? My eyes aren't playing tricks on me, right? Oh my God, Lin Jun is actually still alive. He broke through. He must have broken through. I really don't know how he survived on the cold building. This is a miracle of life. Lin Jun dodged quickly. Why are you fighting with so many people? Life is not to be wasted. Wow, Lin Jun is too ferocious. This speed, this strength, this reaction, it's simply, no. I'm going to faint from happiness. I knew my Prince Charming would not die. F***CK. This kid is really a dog, SH**T. He's actually still alive. It seems that I won't be able to make a name for myself. Let me ask weakly, if Lin Jun is not dead, can I get a refund for my wreath? In the office of Dongfang Jun of the Zephyr Martial Arts School, several big shots who had been working hard for a day and a night had changed their expressions. Dongfang Jun, who was originally anxious and restless, stood up at this moment. When he saw Lin Jun pierce through 3 beginner warlords with one shot, he even crushed the cup in his hand excitedly. Li Wanfeng, his wife, Qin Yunfei, and the others had extremely ugly expressions. They originally planned to leave after seeing Lin Jun's corpse. However, no one expected that Lin Jun could actually make a comeback under such circumstances. Zhao Siqing gritted her teeth and said, "Humph. Some people shouldn't be complacent too early. It's not over yet. Maybe this group of people will cut Lin Jun into pieces. Even if he is lucky enough to survive, my son and those experts are rushing down from the top floor. When that happens, Lin Jun will die." Dongfang Jun glanced at Zhao Siqing. He disdained to argue with this woman, and he was not in the mood to pay attention to her. With his eyes, he could naturally see Lin Jun's current situation. Dongfang Jun was not too worried about Lin Jun's situation when he was fighting against this group of beginner warlords. This was because Lin Jun had not used his mental power until now, which proved that he was still holding back. The fact that he could hold back under such circumstances meant that he was still confident. Lin Jun was actually not having it easy at the moment. Facing the siege of a group of beginner warlords, including 2 intermediate warlords, Lin Jun was almost doing his best. Since he could not use his mental power and gravity power for the time being, Lin Jun relied on his Black Dragon Spear to kill in all directions. As soon as the 2 sides came into contact, Lin Jun unleashed torrential rain. In this kind of group battle, the most important thing was that there could not be enemies in all directions. Being attacked from the front and back was definitely a taboo. Therefore, Lin Jun immediately attacked fiercely in one direction. 3 beginner warlords were immediately enveloped by Lin Jun's torrential rain. Within a second, the weapons of both sides clashed more than 100 times. Just like that, 2 beginner warlords fell into a pool of blood without any suspense. There was only one person left. Lin Jun suddenly lowered his head. A sniper bullet brushed past his scalp and hit the forehead of the warlord in front of him. The moment Lin Jun lowered his head, he saw the reflection in the warlord's eyes. 2 people had leaped up silently, trying to sneak an attack from above. Back thrust. Lin Jun curled his body into a ball and thrust a spear behind him without even turning his head. Under the rapid rain of spears, another 2 people fell to the ground. With one hand on the ground, Lin Jun somersaulted in the air. During the somersaulting process, he shot again and another person fell. A string of bullets hit the place where Lin Jun had just stopped, but they completely missed. When his body landed, a long sword stabbed diagonally toward him. Lin Jun suddenly opened his hand, and a flash of lightning flashed. He used the same trick again and dazzled the warlord's eyes. A kick flew out from below and sent the warlord's body flying into the air, shattering his internal organs. Using the warlord's body as a human shield, Lin Jun quickly rushed forward and exchanged blows with the 2 warlords on his left. In 3 seconds, one was dead and the other was heavily injured. At this time, an intermediate warlord charged toward Lin Jun from behind. This person's weapon was a bright silver spear. Lin Jun had fought with this person before. Not only was the other party very strong, but the quality of the spear was also far above Lin Jun's Black Dragon Spear. It was worth 30 million on the market. Lin Jun fiercely stabbed the Black Dragon Spear into the ground. His body held onto the end of the spear, and he quickly fell down. When the warlord's spear missed, Lin Jun let go. The spear's shaft rebounded and fiercely whipped toward the warlord's face. In a panic, the warlord used his bright silver spear to block and met Lin Jun's Black Dragon Spear head-on. Lin Jun's spear finally couldn't withstand a prolonged battle and broke into 2 after this collision. The intermediate warlord's body was also knocked back. However, Lin Jun once again used his hands to support himself on the ground and bounced up like a spring. He quickly approached the intermediate warlord in a situation where he didn't have any leverage in the air. The liquid metal in his hand transformed into a rope and wrapped around the warlord's neck. "Break for me," Exerting force with one hand, a sharp edge appeared on the liquid metal rope and forcefully cut off the head of the intermediate warlord. This was the magical effect of liquid metal. It could change its form at any time. After killing this intermediate warlord, the other intermediate warlord had already arrived in front of him. The two swords in his hands fiercely slashed at Lin Jun from both sides. They were so fast that it was almost impossible to dodge. Lin Jun separated his hands, and the liquid metal once again transformed into two gloves. He forcefully grabbed the edge of the opponent's sword. The intermediate warlord tried to use force to suppress Lin Jun. However, how could Lin Jun be suppressed by him? The strength of the two was in a stalemate for a moment. Good chance. Go. The intermediate warlord felt that Lin Jun's strength was like an avalanche rushing at him. He knew that he probably wouldn't be able to hold on for more than 2 seconds, so he hastily yelled. The remaining beginner warlords behind him quickly charged forward. They originally thought that the stalemate between the two would continue for a while, but they didn't expect that the bright silver spear on the ground would actually stand up without anyone touching it. It pierced through the heart of the intermediate warlord from back. What's going on? The beginner warlords were dumbfounded. Get out of my way. Lin Jun flew up and kicked the corpse of the intermediate warlord away. The liquid metal once again transformed into a belt. He grabbed the bright silver spear and once again pounced at the remaining beginner warlords like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. After a flash of battle, another 2 beginner warlords fell to the ground and died. Lin Jun waved his spear and looked around. Only then did he realize that there weren't many people left on the battlefield. Other than the few that were seriously injured, there were a total of 5 people. 2 of the beginner warlords fled to the left and right. In front of Lin Jun, 3 people were also fleeing in panic. Bloodhand Squad, Du Yinhu, Zhang Huai, and Ouyangyu. Lin Jun revealed a cold smile. The bright silver spear in his hand fiercely shot out. It turned into a ray of light and hit the back of Du Yinhu, who was running the fastest. Du Yinhu screamed as his body was sent flying by the bright silver spear. He was nailed to a wall far away in front of him. Lin Jun exerted force with his feet and arrived behind Ouyangyu in a few strides. He threw a punch. Kacha. Chapter 113. After killing Ouyangyu with one punch, Lin Jun felt a burst of joy in his heart. This person's strength wasn't high, but he was extremely annoying. In Lin Jun's previous life, it could be said that the first step in his life was ruined by this person. Although in this life, he couldn't be considered a threat to Lin Jun, but if he didn't kill his enemy, what was the use of being reborn? The other 2 beginner warlords had already fled without a trace. On the entire battlefield, only Lin Jun and Zhang Huai were left. Although Lin Jun was currently unarmed, Zhang Huai had completely lost the courage to fight against Lin Jun. In the face of the huge threat of death, Zhang Huai was about to collapse. Seeing Du Yinhu nailed to the wall in the distance, and hearing Ouyangyu scream behind him, Zhang Huai didn't even know how to escape. He fell to the ground and crawled forward on his hands and feet. A fishy smell came from his lower body. Lin Jun slowly walked behind him. Although the sound of each step on the snow wasn't loud, it was as if he was stepping on his heart, making him almost unable to breathe. Zhang Huai turned to face Lin Jun. Lying on the ground, he used his elbows and heels to retreat. He said in horror, "Lin Jun, spare me, spare me. Although I've always been unfriendly to you, I haven't caused you any harm, have I? I don't even have the qualifications to threaten you now. Someone as great as you wouldn't kill someone like me who's inferior to an ant, right? Hee hee. You think you haven't caused me any harm?" Lin Jun lowered his head and asked. Of course. No, I've also done something wrong. At that time, I agreed with that bastard Ouyangyu to hurt your old man. This was my fault. I've repented for it and cried bitterly for it. I even prayed in front of God, asking God to forgive my sins. I'm willing to use the rest of my life to atone for my sins. When I go back, I'll go to the church to be a priest and recite the Bible 100 times every day. You're really exaggerating. Even I feel that your mistakes are not unforgivable. Yes, I can still be saved. As long as you forgive me, I can swear that I will be loyal to you for the rest of my life. I will be at your beck and call. Lin Jun lowered his head and asked, You said life after life, but I guess it doesn't include the previous life, right? Past life? Zhang Huai was stunned. He had no idea what Lin Jun was talking about. Lin Jun's mind flashed with scenes from his previous life. In his previous life, he had several enemies in Bingcheng. Chun Jingqiu was dead, Ouyang Yu was dead, and the only one left was Zhang Huai. In his previous life, Lin Jun's father, Lin Jun, had died at the hands of Zhang Huai. Lin Jun would never forget this. It seems like you don't understand. If you don't understand, then don't understand. You don't have to understand so much. After Lin Jun finished speaking, he turned around and began to walk back step by step. After taking 2 steps, Lin Jun lowered his head and began to collect the spoils of war on the ground. Lin Jun didn't have time to collect the spoils of war from the previous battle. Lin Jun didn't have the habit of wasting things. He didn't want to just throw away the weapons that were easily worth millions of dollars in the snow. Seeing that Lin Jun didn't seem to have any intention of killing him, Zhang Huai finally calmed down a little and slowly stood up from the ground. He wanted to sneak up on Lin Jun, but he didn't dare. He stood up and prepared to run. At this time, Lin Jun said to him, Did you see how Du Yinhu died? Zhang Huai was stunned. He glanced at Du Yinhu, who had died with a spear pierced through his body. He turned to look at Lin Jun, not understanding why the other party said this. He only saw Lin Jun waving his hand, and in the next moment, the bright silver spear flew back, pierced Zhang Huai's body again, and flew back to Lin Jun's hand. I'll let you see because I want you to be mentally prepared. Because the way Du Yinhu died is the way you will die. Lin Jun shook the bright silver spear to shake off the bloodstains on it. He looked at the spear from top to bottom. It was much better than his scrap black dragon spear. It could be said that it was the best spear that a warlord could use, second only to Lin Jun's custom-made one. If the old doesn't go, the new won't come. In the future, you will accompany me for a while. Lin Jun shook the bright silver spear, and Zhang Huai's body slowly fell to the ground. At this point, Lin Jun's enemies in Bingcheng from his previous life had all been beheaded. Not a single one was left alive. Lin Jun exhaled a white breath and looked up at the sky. The previous life is over. From now on, I'm a new me. The sound of chaotic footsteps could be heard. The martial artists who had climbed up the Xiaodong building all ran down at this time. Even they did not dare to jump down from the 36-story building. They had to obediently walk down the stairs or climb down. Even the martial artists took more than 3 minutes to complete this process. However, they never expected that Lin Jun would actually slaughter almost 20 martial artists in just 3 minutes. When these people came downstairs, they saw Lin Jun putting away some weapons by himself. There was blood everywhere, and corpses were everywhere. It was like hell on earth. Lin Jun looked up at these people and smiled. You are finally willing to come down. Unfortunately, you seem to have come too late. I want to accompany you. After saying that, Lin Jun took 2 steps back, jumped over a low wall, flew onto a roof, and quickly ran away. Lin Jun, you bastard. Chase after him. The 3 billion belongs to whoever kills Lin Jun. Li Tianhao's eyes were about to turn red. He had painstakingly planned for so long, but he could not even hurt a single hair on Lin Jun's body. How could he accept this? Lang Tianxiao, Yang Lai, Dong Shuifei, and Jiao Zhan, the 4 advanced warlords, immediately chased after him. Although Lin Jun had advanced to warlord, these people were not simple either. They did not believe that Lin Jun could be their opponent. Normally, they might just watch coldly from the sidelines. However, this was a matter of 3 billion, so they had to take a gamble. The 6 intermediate warlords discussed and quickly made a decision. The 6 of them formed a team and joined forces to hunt down Lin Jun. They were also determined to get involved until the end. This was where the warriors in the wild fled for their lives. If it had been a martial arts club warrior from a normal base city, they would not have been as bold as these people. Lin Jun's bloody massacre did not intimidate them. They were all very confident and proud. Let's chase after him too. We must not let Lin Jun escape. Li Tianhao also wanted to chase after Lin Jun, but he was stopped by Lu Qingfeng. "Young master, forgive me for being blunt, but I am afraid that Lin Jun will not be easy to deal with. Furthermore, my responsibility is to protect you. Your current actions clearly pose a threat to your safety. I do not agree with you chasing after him." Li Tianhao dared to chase after Lin Jun, mainly because of Lu Qingfeng, who was beside him. With this level 7 telekinesis master by his side, Li Tianhao could run amok in the wilderness. Even though Lang Tianxiao was a level 8 warlord and a natural speed user, he was not afraid. Furthermore, Lu Qingfeng was not his hired thug. Li Wanfeng had even authorized Lu Qingfeng. If Li Tianhao insisted on doing things his way, Lu Qingfeng could knock him out and bring him back. This was also why Li Wanfeng had dared to let his son go out. Sure enough, when Lu Qingfeng said that he did not agree, the Shao brothers, who had been about to take action, did not dare move. As for old Hu, he simply did not dare make the first move. "Mr. Lu, are we just going to watch Lin Jun escape?" Li Tianhao was very angry, but he did not dare be rude to Lu Qingfeng. "Young master, Lin Jun might not be able to escape. I'm not sure about the others, but Lin Jun should not be a match for Lang Tianxiao and Yang Lai. Although the wind has stopped, the road to Xiaodong is still blocked. Lin Jun will not be able to escape Xiaodong. What are you worried about, young master?" "All right, I will wait here and see how Lin Jun will die," Li Tianhao said through gritted teeth. He actually stopped at a place next to the Xiaodong building that was sheltered from the wind. Lang Tianxiao and the others chased him for a while before arriving at a crossroad. Which direction did Lin Jun run in? The few of them searched everywhere for footprints, but they could not find any. "We are sure that this kid went in a certain direction. We will split up and chase him. Yang Lai, you and I will go together." As Lang Tianxiao spoke, he brought Yang Lai along the path in front of them. "Jiao Zhan, we will go to the left. The 6 of you will go to the right." Dong Shuifei led Jiao Zhan to the left. The remaining 6 intermediate warlords went all the way to the right. These martialists were not worried that Lin Jun might ambush them. However, in the eyes of the advanced warlords, Lin Jun would definitely not dare to ambush them. At most, he would ambush the intermediate warlords. Therefore, the advanced warlords chased after him unscrupulously. On the other hand, the intermediate warlords were very careful, fearing that Lin Jun would suddenly appear out of nowhere. However, they did not find any trace of Lin Jun along the way. Instead, they went further and further away from the Xiaodong building. After they left, Lin Jun's head popped out from a small building not far away. He used flight when he got there. He turned a corner and flew into the small building. These people did not know that he was a telekinesis master. Of course, they did not know that he could actually move in a roundabout way without leaving a trace. After jumping out of the window of the small building, Lin Jun returned to the Xiaodong building. At this moment, Li Tianhao was cursing and swearing in a sheltered place. "Lin Jun, you'll be lucky if you die. If I catch you, I'll make you regret being born into this world. By then, you'll know that a smooth death is already an extravagant hope." Lu Qingfeng stood beside him with his eyes closed. He looked like he was about to fall asleep. However, Lin Jun knew that this was the most difficult enemy to deal with in the entire Xiaodong building. Old Hu accompanied Li Tianhao and scolded Lin Jun from time to time. He looked like a servile servant. On the other hand, the Shao brothers were casually rummaging through the battlefield to see if they could find anything valuable. Lu Qingfeng is indeed difficult to deal with, but the Shao brothers are also advanced warlords. The 2 of them are very powerful when they join forces. If we don't get rid of one of them, I'm afraid that it will be very troublesome later. Chapter 114. Big brother, look at this spear. If it was in good condition, it could be sold for 1,000,000. Unfortunately, it's broken. Shao Tianyu picked up Lin Jun's broken black dragon spear and pointed it at Shao Tianzua. Shao Tianzua glanced at it and said, "Trash. It's useless when it's in good condition. Throw it away." Shao Tianyu swung his arm and threw Lin Jun's black dragon spear far away. The 2 of them went in different directions, rolling among the dead. The direction Shao Tianyu was heading in was where Lin Jun was hiding. Lin Jun was lying in the snow, almost blending in with the snow. He didn't have any sense of existence as he waited for Xiao Tianyu to approach. 5 meters in front of Lin Jun was a corpse that had died in battle. There was also a long sword that Lin Jun hadn't been able to retrieve in time. Lin Jun guessed that Xiao Tianyu would be here soon. Sure enough, after taking a few steps, Xiao Tianyu's eyes lit up as he discovered the long sword in front of him. Huh, there really is something good here. I've found a treasure. Xiao Tianyu strode towards the long sword and bent down to pick it up. Just as his hand was about to touch the long sword, he suddenly felt a sense of danger. Not only him, but Xiao Tianzhua also sensed the danger almost at the same time. He immediately shouted, "Second brother!" Lu Qingfeng, who had been sleeping beside Li Tianhao, suddenly opened his eyes. His silver eyes flashed with a hint of golden light. Clearly, he also realized that the situation had changed. At that moment, Lin Jun suddenly attacked. It was as if a landmine had exploded in the snow. Lin Jun burst out of the snow with a boom, bringing with him wind and snow. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Xiao Tianyu. His long spear carried the aura of death as it shot toward Xiao Tianyu. Although Xiao Tianyu was suddenly attacked, he didn't panic at all. He directly used the long sword on the ground and fiercely swung it at Lin Jun. "Ha ha! Lin Jun, this soft and powerless spear of yours can only be used against those rookies. Using it against me is just asking for humiliation." Xiao Tianyu was born with great strength. Even a long sword in his hand had great power. He was determined to teach this brat who dared to offend him a lesson. On the other side, Xiao Tianzhua was also rushing over. The distance between the two of them was less than 50 meters. Xiao Tianzhua only needed 3 seconds to arrive. From Xiao Tianyu's point of view, Lin Jun's spear attack was flashy, but it lacked destructive power. His sword attack was enough to break the spear attack. His plan wasn't wrong, but Lin Jun could also change his tactics. The torrential rain disappeared as soon as it appeared. The spear light that filled the sky turned into 100, and then all returned to 1. A simple thrust, under the acceleration of Lin Jun's lightning ions, thrusted straight towards Xiao Tian's left chest. "Good spear." Xiao Tianyu roared. Sweat instantly appeared on his forehead. Lin Jun's seemingly simple and ordinary spear strike actually gave him the feeling of being attacked by an army of thousands of men and horses. If the spear light from before was said to be a rainstorm, although it was overwhelming, it wasn't fatal. Then this spear strike was like rolling thunder. As long as one was struck, there would be no chance of survival. At this moment, he displayed the strength of an advanced warlord. He held his sword with both hands and gathered all his strength. He was ready to resist this spear attack. Although it was a little disadvantageous for him to block the spear with his sword, he had to hold on. As long as he could hold on for 2 seconds, Xiao Tianzhua would arrive and Lin Jun would be defeated. At this moment, a golden light suddenly flashed in Lin Jun's eyes. 3 throwing knives appeared out of thin air and stabbed towards Xiao Tianyu's eyes and throat. "Spirit Reader." Lu Qingfeng, who had been standing beside Li Tianhao, exclaimed. So that's how it is. No wonder Lin Jun could do so many things. It turned out that this guy was a spirit reader. Seeing that he could control 3 throwing knives, he should be a spirit reader in the late silver stage. What a genius. Xiao Tianyu is in danger, but this is what makes things interesting. Lu Qingfeng's eyes lit up. For the first time, he couldn't help but want to attack. Xiao Tianzhua was rushing over, but he couldn't save Xiao Tianyu from the crisis. Xiao Tianyu was helpless. The only thing he could do was to continue blocking Lin Jun's spear. He closed his eyes and lowered his head, trying his best to avoid the blood vessels in his eyes and throat. Lin Jun's throwing knives swept past, leaving 3 deep gouges on Xiao Tianyu's head. Blood splattered everywhere. Although it didn't hit a vital point, the pain made Xiao Tianyu's right hand loosen instinctively. At this moment, the bright silver spear arrived. When the spear and the sword met, Lin Jun thrust forward forcefully. Xiao Tianyu desperately tried to block. The sword was a short weapon, so it was at a disadvantage. In addition, Xiao Tianyu loosened his grip and couldn't stop Lin Jun. A series of unpleasant sounds of metal rubbing against each other were heard. Creak, 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 creak. Pu, Xiao Tianyu lowered his head and saw the bright silver spear pierce through his chest, through his heart, and into his back. So strong. Although Xiao Tianyu was a little passive, he was an advanced warlord after all. He was also born with extraordinary strength. Even if he was at a disadvantage in terms of weapon, he could still crush a beginner warlord who wasn't born with extraordinary strength in terms of strength. But just now, when the two of them collided with each other, he lost. He lost cleanly. He was pierced by Lin Zhen's spear. This meant that even if he was in perfect condition and had a good weapon, he wouldn't be much stronger than Lin Zhen in terms of strength. This was almost unimaginable for him. But a loss was a loss. A loss meant that he lost his life. There was no chance for him to turn the tables. Xiao Tianzhu got close, but Xiao Tianyu fell backward. He originally wanted to attack Lin Zhen immediately, but when he saw his brother fall, his first instinct was to reach out and support his brother. At this moment, he forgot that there was a deadly spear tip in his brother's back, and the spear was in Lin Zhen's hand. Lin Zhen saw this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Without any hesitation, he exerted force again and stabbed forward with his spear. The spear tip pierced Xiao Tianzuo's chest again, connecting the two brothers together. But this spear wasn't fatal. Xiao Tianzuo instinctively grabbed the spear with both hands and stopped it a few centimeters away from his heart. An advanced warlord born with extraordinary strength was indeed extraordinary. He was able to grab Lin Zhen's spear. Just as Xiao Tianzuo was about to counterattack, he suddenly felt a strong suction force coming from the front. His body was like a piece of metal that had encountered a magnet. He was thrown forward uncontrollably. The spear pierced through his body again, piercing his heart. Xiao Tianzuo looked at the spear in his chest in disbelief. Even in death, he didn't understand how he died. Why did he suddenly charge forward? Lin Zhen was also secretly relieved. This time, there was an element of luck involved. Of course, the sudden use of suction force was definitely not expected by the opponent. Xiao Tianzuo's eyes quickly dimmed. His body fell, and he followed Xiao Tianyu. Lin Zhen pulled out his spear and looked at Li Tianhao below the building. Young Master Li, it will be your turn soon. This time, the whole battle only lasted 6 to 7 seconds. Li Tianhao didn't even have time to react before the Xiao brothers were dead. Lin Zhen. Li Tianhao was stunned. Then, Li Tianhao turned to Lu Qingfeng and said angrily, "Mr. Lu, why didn't you do anything?" Lin Zhen killed the Xiao brothers. Lu Qingfeng shook his head slightly. "Young master, my only duty is to ensure your safety. If Lin Zhen attacks you, I won't sit back and watch. As for the others, they are not under my protection." Enough. Lin Zhen has already killed the Xiao brothers. Now, there are only a few of us left. Kill him immediately. I don't need your protection anymore. Li Tianhao couldn't take it anymore and roared loudly. Lu Qingfeng also wanted to fight Lin Zhen, but he didn't dare to act rashly because of his duty to protect Li Tianhao. Now that Li Tianhao said so, he was ready to act. However, he was still a little worried. "Young master, there is no such thing as a sure win battle in this world. Although I'm very confident that I can win, there are still some things that I have to explain. If I fail, Mr. Lu, don't worry. If you fail, I still have old Hu here to block him. Besides, if even you fail, I believe that no one in Jiaodong can protect me." Hearing Li Tianhao's words, Lu Qingfeng was relieved. "Young master, then stay here and watch how I deal with this Lin Zhen. Kill him. After you kill him, you don't have to give the 3 billion to anyone else. It's all yours." Lu Qingfeng's eyes lit up. "Then please prepare the money, young master." Then, he turned around and left Lu Qingfeng's side. He walked straight towards Lin Zhen. As he walked, a strange disc appeared in Lu Qingfeng's hand. The disc was about 1 meter in diameter. There were 5 sword handles on it. As he walked, he carried the disc on his back. Then, he reached out and grabbed one of the sword handles. A cold light flashed like autumn water, and a long sword appeared in his hand. "Lin Zhen, I have to say that you're a genius. Not only are you a natural speed user at such a young age, but you're also a telekinesis master. You've even cultivated your telekinesis to some extent. However, it's a pity that you met me. Your path as a genius is destined to end today." Lin Jun waved the bright silver spear in his hand and got into a defensive stance. "Lu Qingfeng, don't talk nonsense here. I know that you're also a telekinesis master. Since I dare to come, I'm confident that I can kill you. Come on, if you have the ability to make me take a step back, then I'll consider it your ability." "Haha, you actually said that I can't defeat you. What an arrogant fellow. Let's try it then." Then, Lu Qingfeng stomped on the ground, and his whole body suddenly soared into the air. With the long sword in his hand as the tip, he spun forward in the air. Traces of sword energy formed a torrent and charged towards Lin Jun with unparalleled momentum. This is a sword river. When Lin Jun saw Lu Qingfeng's attack, he knew that this person's basic skills and swordsmanship had reached a certain level. To be able to make sword energy flow like a river, this skill was above his own. However, Lin Jun didn't panic at all. His whole body was as taut as a bow. Just as Lu Qingfeng approached, Lin Jun moved. Flight. Lin Jun didn't choose to fight Lu Qingfeng head-on. Instead, he used his telekinesis master's flight to leap over him. Then, like an eagle swooping down on a rabbit, he went straight for Li Tianhao, who was below the building. Chapter 115. Lu Qingfeng was indeed planning to defeat Lin Jun in one fell swoop, so he didn't show any mercy. He immediately used his signature move, the Sword Energy River. In his opinion, Lin Jun had just become a warlord and hadn't been cultivating for a long time, so he shouldn't have much experience. Although his combat talent was good, he couldn't be compared to Lu Qingfeng's. Lin Jun definitely wouldn't be able to withstand such a violent attack. However, he didn't expect Lin Jun to have no intention of fighting him head-on. He deliberately angered Lu Qingfeng and lured him into attacking him with all his strength. His goal was to take this opportunity to launch a surprise attack on Li Tianhao. Li Tianhao also didn't expect Lin Jun to do this. A second ago, he was still full of confidence that Lin Jun was definitely no match for Lu Qingfeng. However, in the next second, Lin Jun was right in front of him. Lin Jun had already planned this beforehand. Even if Lu Qingfeng chased after him, there would still be a 2-second delay. Would Li Tianhao be able to withstand these 2 seconds? Lu Qingfeng wasn't confident at all. Old Hu stood in front of Li Tianhao and acted like a slave. However, he didn't expect Lin Jun to go around Lu Qingfeng and pounce on him. He immediately regretted his actions. However, he had no other choice. If he retreated now, he would definitely die. Even if he didn't die at the hands of Lin Jun, he would die at the hands of Li Wanfeng. Therefore, he could only brace himself and resist Lin Jun, hoping that he would be lucky enough to survive. Old Hu's weapon was a machete. He wielded the machete with both hands and shouted at Lin Jun, "Lin Jun, if you want to touch young Master Li, you'll have to get through me first. It's rare for you to be loyal. Then, I'll bury you for your loyalty." Lin Jun's eyes turned cold. He hated traitors the most. Old Hu had betrayed Lai Feng, so he should be prepared to pay the price. At this moment, Lin Jun no longer held back. He pointed the bright silver spear in his hand, and his body joined in. With a loud bang, he collided with Old Hu. Old Hu was an intermediate warlord, which was actually a 4th-grade warlord, while Lin Jun was already at the peak of 3rd grade. There wasn't much difference between their realms. Moreover, Lin Jun's body was strengthened by the dark energy stone and lightning ions, and he was also a spirit reader. His actual combat power was far beyond Old Hu's. The result of the collision between the two was out in half a second. Old Hu was sent flying like a broken cloth bag. He fell heavily 30 meters away. His body was dyed red. His chest heaved violently twice before he died on the spot. After killing Old Hu in one blow, Lin Jun didn't slow down at all and continued to rush toward Li Tianhao. Looking at Lin Jun's frosty face, his long hair fluttering in the wind, and his face rapidly approaching, Li Tianhao felt that death was so close to him for the first time. He was originally full of confidence in setting up a trap for Lin Jun, but he didn't expect Lin Jun to counterattack all the way. In the end, Lin Jun actually broke through his trap and killed his way to him. Li Tianhao clenched his teeth and touched the space ring with his hand in fear. He still had a last resort to save his life. He believed that with this thing, it wouldn't be easy for Lin Jun to take his life. Moreover, he also had a genetic potion that increased his strength by 85%. He still wanted to fight. The moment Lin Jun approached, a red long sword appeared in Li Tianhao's hand. Lin Jun was flying closer. When he saw the long sword, his eyes lit up. Astral weapon. Li Tianhao actually had an astral weapon in his hand. The so-called astral weapon was generally a weapon used by Star Realm martial artists. Its sharpness and toughness were far from comparable to the weapons on Earth. At the very least, the current science and technology department couldn't research similar weapons. The astral weapons on Earth all originated from the Leonid meteor shower. In the disaster areas of the meteor shower, that is, in the ancient god ruins, only there would be astral weapons or ancient books. These extraterrestrial items were supreme treasures to the current martial artists on Earth. Most of them were in the hands of Star Realm martial artists. Of course, there were also some war god experts who coincidentally obtained astral weapons. Lin Jun had seen a lot of astral weapons in his previous life. Not to mention this kind of ordinary astral weapon, he had even seen some top-quality astral weapons. However, this was the first time he saw one in this life. Haha, your parents really spoiled you. They actually gave you this kind of treasure to protect yourself. Unfortunately, they didn't know that good things can only be used in the hands of experts. You'd better hand it over. Lin Jun raised his hand. The astral weapon in Li Tianhao's hand immediately flew out and uncontrollably flew towards Lin Jun's hand. Lin Jun, give it back to me. Li Tianhao's eyes immediately turned blood red. He forgot about the difference in strength between them and wanted to snatch it back. However, just as he took a step, he realized that something was wrong. He turned around and wanted to run, but it was already too late. Lin Jun casually put the astral weapon into his interspatial ring. Then, he punched Li Tianhao until he was dizzy. He turned around and appeared behind Li Tianhao. He wrapped one hand around Li Tianhao's neck and held the bright silver spear in the other hand. The cold tip of the spear was pointed at Li Tianhao's neck. This action made Lu Qingfeng, who had already chased after Lin Jun, stop in his tracks. Lin Jun, don't hurt the young master. Lu Qingfeng anxiously roared. He was no longer as calm as before. Lin Jun smiled slightly. He's your young master, not mine. To me, this guy is still my enemy. Why can't I hurt him? Lu Qingfeng gasped for breath. Lin Jun, let's talk things over. There's no unresolvable hatred in this world. As long as you let go of young Master Li, we can talk about any conditions. Lin Jun was just about to speak when the surrounding people began to move. The people who had chased after him had already returned. Lang Tianxiao and the others returned to the Xiaodong building. Sure enough, they saw Lin Jun and realized that they had fallen for Lin Jun's trick. However, they didn't dare to make a move right now. They had chased after Lin Jun for the 3 billion bounty on Li Tianhao's head. However, Li Tianhao was currently under Lin Jun's control. If Lin Jun killed Li Tianhao in a fit of anger, they wouldn't be able to ask for the bounty even if they killed Lin Jun. Without the motivation of money, these martial artists lost their previous enthusiasm. They watched coldly from the side and waited for the situation to develop. Li Tianhao tried to move Lin Jun's arm with one hand. Unexpectedly, Lin Jun's spear pierced a hole in his neck. If you want to live, behave. Lin Jun, calm down. Calm down. Li Tianhao hurriedly lowered his hand and begged Lin Jun for mercy. Young Master Li, what's wrong with you? Why are you begging me for mercy? TSK. Seeing you like this, I'm sure you won't be able to achieve anything in this lifetime. Yes, I'm useless. Li Tianhao repeatedly agreed. His legs were already weak, and he no longer had the arrogance from before. He repeatedly begged, Lin Jun, actually, we don't have any big grudges. It's because Ning likes you that I did a lot of stupid things out of jealousy. But then again, I didn't cause any harm to you. You're even more famous now. Let's forget about the past, okay? Do you think I'll agree? Lin Jun sneered. I'll compensate you. You can take my spatial ring. This ring is worth a lot of money. There's a lot of cash and gold inside. It's about 700 to 800 million. I can give it all to you. Oh, and that's Saber. My father said that it's worth a lot of money. It's yours too. Oomph. The saber is already mine. Then, I promise that I won't provoke a Ning again in the future. I'll call you Big Brother in the future and listen to everything you say. How about that? Lin Jun sneered. Young Master Li, you probably don't know that I have a special ability. I can tell if a person is lying based on their breathing and heartbeat. I feel that you're just patronizing me now. When you regain your freedom and safety, you won't let me go, right? I didn't. Li Tianhao was a little guilty because Lin Jun was right. Enough. If you don't have any other last words, you can go now. Just when Lin Jun was done playing with Li Tianhao and was about to make his move, Lu Qingfeng's phone suddenly rang. Yes, the signal is through. Lu Qingfeng glanced at the phone. Then, his expression changed, and he hurriedly answered the call. Hand the phone to me and face Lin Jun. On the other side of the phone was Li Wanfeng and Zhao Xiqing. They were having a video call with Lu Qingfeng. Lu Qingfeng didn't dare to make any mistakes. He immediately handed the phone to Lin Jun. In the video call, Li Wanfeng suppressed his anger and said to Lin Jun, as long as you let my son go, I'll give you 10 billion. Lin Jun pursed his lips. It seems that great war god Li's son isn't worth much. On the other side, Zhao Xiqing snatched the phone. 50 billion. Lin Jun, 50 billion is the highest number we can offer. As long as you let my son go. If you don't, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. Looking at Zhao Xiqing, who was acting like a crazy woman, Lin Jun took a deep breath. Madam Zhao, you probably don't know my personality. I will never be threatened by anyone in my life. Remember, no one. Then what will it take for you to let my son go? Zhao Xiqing was about to go crazy, but she didn't dare to flip out at Lin Jun. At this time, Li Wanfeng took the phone again and said in a heavy voice, Lin Jun, think about the stakes carefully. What good will it do you to offend us? You can't imagine the power we have in the base city. As long as you let my son go, you can still get 50 billion. Moreover, you won't have to make an enemy of us. I think you're a smart person. You can make the right choice. The surrounding people were silent, waiting for Lin Jun to make his choice. Li Wanfeng's words were very reasonable and persuasive. Whether it was the people in Zhaodong or the base city, they were all thinking. If they were in Lin Jun's position, what would they do? They would probably choose 50 billion and not have to make an enemy. The temptation was too great. Almost no one could resist. Lin Jun seemed to think for a while. Looking at your video, you're in Gale, right? Is Headmaster Dongfang there? Have him answer the phone. On the other side of the video, Dongfang Jun quickly appeared. Headmaster, what do you say? Lin Jun asked calmly. Dongfang Jun looked ashamed. Lin Jun, I also have some difficulties this time. I can guarantee you that from today onwards, the martial arts hall will definitely be your strongest protection. We have already agreed that the matter of Zhaodong is a battle between the two of you. We will not interfere, and we will not pursue the matter after this. Thank you, Headmaster. I'm relieved to hear your words. After Lin Jun finished speaking, he said to Li Tianhao, I believe in cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots. Leaving you alive will only bring trouble to me. Why should I ask for trouble? As for who wants revenge, let him come. After saying that, he thrust the spear forward and pierced Li Tianhao's neck. Li Tianhao didn't even have time to say a word. He died on the spot. On the other side of the phone, Zhao Xiqing fainted on the spot. Li Wanfeng roared into the phone. Who here can kill Lin Jun? I'll give him. Before he could finish, Lin Jun suddenly waved his hand. Lu Qingfeng didn't notice, and the phone flew directly into Lin Jun's hand. Chapter 116. Lin Jun crushed Lu Qingfeng's phone and took Li Tianhao's space ring. Then, he said to the dumbfounded crowd below, Li Wanfeng didn't say anything about his promise. None of you can guarantee what you will get after killing me. Does anyone want to make a move? The people below looked at each other. Other than Lu Qingfeng, who was about to make a move, the others didn't know what to do. Since no one wants to, I'm leaving. Bye. After saying that, the liquid metal at Lin Jun's waist turned into a shield. He stepped on the shield and soared into the air. Lin Jun, how dare you kill young master? Leave your life here. Lu Qingfeng almost fainted on the spot when he saw Li Tianhao die tragically. When he saw that Lin Jun was about to run away again, he didn't care about anything else. The disc behind him also flew up. He stepped on it and started chasing after Lin Jun. At the same time, the 5 long swords on the disc soared into the air and chased after Lin Jun like guided missiles. Okay, a battle between telekinesis masters should be fought in the sky. Let's fight as we move. At this moment, Lin Jun's 5 flying daggers also rose into the air. Although the 5 flying daggers were only about 1/3 the size of the longsword, Lin Jun did not show any signs of weakness. The daggers and swords clashed continuously in the air, colliding with each other. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already flown far away. Lang Tianxiao and the others looked at the sky, speechless for a long time. It turned out that Lin Jun was a telekinesis master. If such a person wanted to escape, they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't interfere in this battle. The 10 warlords had a final discussion and decided to return to the base city. They hadn't gone back in a long time. Now that the 10 of them had joined forces, they should be able to make it through this difficult snowy journey. About 10 minutes after the 10 advanced warlords left, the area around the Xiaodong building was quiet. Click! Under the snow, a car door opened. The air outside is so good. I'm suffocating. Suna popped her head out and took a few deep breaths. Then, she said to Gao Feng, "Has the live broadcast been successful?" "It's a success, Suna. Now the internet is going crazy. Lin Jun's great counterattack is simply too wonderful. It's comparable to a blockbuster. Our program is really popular this time." "That's good. We didn't come to Xiaodong in vain this time. Pack your things. The snow is about to stop. We'll go back to the base city in a while. Although the road is a little difficult, our car is harder than a turtle shell. If we go slowly, we'll be back in a week." "All right, let's go. When I go back this time, I will definitely be promoted." Gao Feng drove excitedly. Suna glanced at the Xiaodong building where the mutated birds were returning. She felt that the haze here had completely dissipated. In the Zephyr Martial Arts School, Zhao Siqing slowly woke up. As soon as she woke up, she grabbed Li Wanfeng and asked, "Where's our son? How is our son?" Li Wanfeng shook his head with red eyes. "Honey, I'm sorry for your loss. Get lost." Zhao Siqing slapped Li Wanfeng in the face and then glared at Dongfang Jun fiercely. "Dongfang Jun, you're a talent from the martial arts school. If you don't hand Lin Jun over to me today, I'll tear down your Zephyr Martial Arts School. How dare you?" Dongfang Jun slammed the table and stood up. A dark golden aura flashed around his body. He was obviously angry. Zhao Siqing was also shocked. She didn't expect Dongfang Jun to be angry. "Li Wanfeng, Zhao Siqing, with a letter from the Great Divinity Sect, Dongfang Jun, gave you face, but you still want a yard after taking an inch. We've already agreed on this matter from the beginning. No matter what the result is, we won't pursue this matter. If you still dare to make a scene in the Zephyr Martial Arts School, don't blame me for erasing your Wanhao group from Bingsheng." Zhao Siqing was shocked by Dongfang Jun's aura. She hurriedly looked at Qin Yunfei and Lu Shu. "You too?" Unexpectedly, Qin Yunfei stood up and shook his head. "I've already completed my mission here. Although I still hate Lin Jun, I'll keep my promise. I'll leave now." After Qin Yunfei finished speaking, he stood up and left Dongfang Jun's office. Lu Shu also shook his head. "Brotherly, you and your wife should think about it carefully. That son of yours, even if he survives, he'll be a disaster. We, too long, will suffer a loss and not get involved in this muddy water." After speaking, Lu Shu also followed Qin Yunfei and left Dongfang Jun's office together. When the door was opened, there were clearly 5 or 6 War God level experts standing outside. These were all reinforcements that Dongfang Jun had secretly found during this period of time. Qin Yunfei and Lu Shu also felt that many experts had arrived, so they had no choice but to retreat. Otherwise, things wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Without Qin Yunfei and Lu Shu, Li Wanfeng and Zhao Siqing added together wouldn't be Dongfang Jun's match. The two of them looked at the furious Dongfang Jun and the many war gods outside. In the end, they had no choice but to swallow their anger. When Zhao Siqing walked to the door, she turned and said to Dongfang Jun, Dongfang Jun, this matter isn't over. Don't be too complacent. Then I have to warn you. If you still dare to make a move against Lin Jun, I won't just sit by and watch. You'll pay a painful price for this. I, Zhao Siqing, am not an idiot. I'll definitely take revenge. But when the time comes, I'm afraid that even you, Dongfang Jun, won't be able to stop it. Let's wait and see. Li Wanfeng and Zhao Siqing left live phone. Dongfang Jun was alone in his office, deep in thought. This time, for the sake of the dojo's benefit, Dongfang Jun felt that he had let Lin Jun down. However, he believed that Lin Jun could understand his decision, because although Lin Jun was young, he didn't give Dongfang Jun the feeling that he gave off. Instead, he gave off the feeling that he was an astute old man. However, understanding was one thing. Dongfang Jun still felt that he had to properly compensate Lin Jun. If Lin Jun was the target of his nurturing before, then Lin Jun's position in Dongfang Jun's heart had skyrocketed. He was already his designated successor. After pressing the doorbell, the secretary walked in. Go and take out the liquid metal from our storage. How much do we have left? Dojo Master, there are still 18 kilograms of liquid metal. It's worth 6 billion. Do you want to take it all out? 6 billion. Take it all out. After all, it's not for outsiders. It still belongs to live phone. Dongfang Jun resolutely made his decision. In a short while, the secretary had already handed the 18 kilograms of liquid metal to Dongfang Jun. Looking at the heavy box, Dongfang Jun let out a long breath. He sat quietly in the office. He believed that Lin Jun would be back soon. The wind and snow in the air gradually stopped. Lin Jun's speed was extremely fast. He went straight to the base city in the high school. As for Lu Qifeng, who was behind him, Lin Jun had already left him in the dust. Now, he could not even see his shadow. Although Lu Qifeng was also a spirit reader, and a rare golden one, his spirit power had just reached the early golden stage. Compared to Lin Jun, who was in the middle stage, he was an entire realm away. With such a difference in realm, it was natural that he could not catch up to Lin Jun. However, Lin Jun did not intend to stop and fight. Although his spirit power was stronger, his opponent was a high-level warlord. If he fought head-on, Lin Jun might not be able to gain the upper hand. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Lu Qifeng was furious. However, Lin Jun was too fast. No matter how hard he tried, he could only watch as Lin Jun disappeared into the horizon. Moreover, their flight had alarmed the mutated birds. There was a group of mutated birds chasing after him. He had no choice but to land temporarily and deal with the mutated birds first. He did not know how to explain this to Li Wanfeng, but he had to go back. He could only wait for Li Wanfeng to decide the final outcome. After Lin Jun shook off Lu Qifeng, he sped all the way back to the base city. He made a turn midway and entered the base city from the south gate to avoid being discovered. After returning to the base city, Lin Jun did not go home immediately. Instead, he found a hotel to rest. The hotel he found was run by civilians. Civilians could not log into the Warrior Forum, and not many people knew of Lin Jun's name. Although they all lived in the same city, they were from two completely different worlds. When they met, they did not have the slightest bit of interaction. After Lin Jun arrived at the hotel, the first thing he did was to organize his spoils of war. Although the trip to Jiaodong this time was dangerous, the harvest was also huge. In Lin Jun's interspatial ring, there were 5 or 6 B-class mutated beast corpses and crystals. There were also a few C-class mutated beast corpses, which were worth about 100 million. In addition to these, Lin Jun picked up the weapons and other things from the dead warriors. He roughly estimated that they were worth about 300 million. Of course, the most important thing was Li Tianhao's interspatial ring. The ring itself was worth 400 million, and the things inside were even more valuable. Li Tianhao did not lie. This kid actually had a hobby of carrying large amounts of cash. The value of the cash and gold inside was more than 800 million. Just these things alone were worth more than 5 billion. This did not even include the most valuable astral tool, the long blade. Lin Jun took out the astral tool long blade. The blade was crimson red, and it weighed about 200 kilograms. It was even heavier than his bright silver spear. Moreover, when he held in his hand, he could even feel a heat wave coming from it. It was very clear that this astral tool-long blade had the effect of an elemental attack. This was also the reason why Earth's technology could not make it. A low-grade astral tool with the power of fire inside. If a high-level warrior had this blade, they would be able to challenge a low-level war god. Unfortunately, it fell into the hands of Li Tianhao, this second-generation rich kid. In the end, it benefited me. If I took it out to auction, the value of this blade would be between 7 billion and 10 billion. Many war god powerhouses would definitely fight for it. However, a lot of people saw the appearance of this blade, so I can't take it out to sell. If the dojo can give me a suitable price, I will sell it to the dojo. During this trip to Zhaodong, Lin Jun actually obtained close to 10 billion. Moreover, he got rid of a few people that he must kill. He was especially happy in his heart. Chapter 117. The night in the Bay City was beautiful and gorgeous. In front of the Zephyr Dojo, Lin Jun's car stopped. Most of the martial artists in the dojo were there during the day. At night, the martial artists went out to spend money. At this time, there weren't many people in the dojo. Lin Jun walked into the dojo and went straight to Dongfang Jun's office. He knocked lightly on the door, and Dongfang Jun's voice came. "It's Lin Jun, right? Come in." Lin Jun pushed the door open and entered. After entering the room, he was slightly surprised. The dojo master's strength is really unfathomable. "I only knocked on the door, and you actually knew it was me." Dongfang Jun smiled. "Kid, don't flatter me. I have surveillance here. I'll know when you enter the dojo." After letting Lin Jun sit down, Dongfang Jun said, "You wouldn't flatter me for no reason. You must want to get some benefits from me. That depends on whether the dojo master has something to give me." Lin Jun sat down easily. His attitude was calm, and he didn't have the fear and trepidation that ordinary martial artists had when facing the dojo master. This Lin Jun really couldn't pretend. He was a Star Realm martial artist in his previous life and had seen too many big shots. Naturally, he had pride in his heart. He didn't know how to pretend to be humble. Seeing Lin Jun's attitude, Dongfang Jun felt a little unnatural. He reached out and pushed a box in front of Lin Jun. "What is this?" Lin Jun asked. "It's like this. Your performance in this trip to Zhaodong was not bad. Not only did you bring glory to the dojo, but you also killed our Zephyr's traitor, Old Who. This is the dojo's reward for you." "Oh, so that's how it is. Then I won't be polite." Lin Jun picked up the box and looked. It was filled with liquid metal. Weighing it with his hand, it weighed close to 20 kilograms. Lin Jun was delighted. If he had so much liquid metal when he was in Zhaodong, the battle would undoubtedly be much easier. He wouldn't have to fight so hard in a roundabout way. However, Lin Jun's expression didn't change at all. He smiled and said, "It seems that Old Who's life is quite valuable. If I had known earlier, I would have killed him earlier." Dongfang Jun's old face turned red. "All right, Lin Jun, don't embarrass me. This time, I didn't save you because of many considerations. If you pass, your future will be limitless. If you fail, Hall Master, there's no need to explain. I understand all of this." Lin Jun waved his hand. He still had to give Dongfang Jun some face. Saying this, Lin Jun also returned the favor by taking out the astral tool long blade. Lin Jun didn't really like using knives. Moreover, he had enough liquid metal. He could transform it into any weapon. 30 kilograms of liquid metal was basically enough. Lin Jun also knew a way to increase the strength of the liquid metal. When the time came, the liquid metal would transform into a weapon that would not be any weaker than an ordinary astral weapon. Therefore, Lin Jun did not care too much about this saber. Dongfang Jun's eyes lit up. "You? Hall Master, I don't really need this weapon. I don't know if the dojo will buy it. If you do, I will sell it to the dojo first. I'm a little tight on money recently." You're still tight on money. If you sell this weapon, I'm afraid that even an ordinary war god won't be as good as you." Dongfang Jun took the long saber and looked at it for a while before saying, "Do you know what kind of weapon this is?" "I've heard a little about it. It should be an astral weapon." "Not bad. You actually know about astral weapons. Since you know, I won't hide it from you. The market price of this weapon is around 8 to 10 billion. That Li Wanfeng couple must have lost their minds. They actually gave such a precious thing to their son. In the end, it ended up benefiting you. The dojo can buy it, but I can only give you 8 billion. Of course, you can also choose to auction it yourself. However, I estimate that the price will not exceed 10 billion. You might lose a little. Are you willing? Since I've taken it out, I have no intention of taking it back. I'll do as Hall Master says. Dongfang Jun nodded with satisfaction. Good, then it's done. I'll transfer the money to you now. After a while, 8 billion was transferred to Lin Jun's account. Lin Jun sold his infinite space ring and other miscellaneous items to the dojo. The total value was about 1.6 billion. Dongfang Jun gave Lin Jun 1.5 billion, and Lin Jun didn't mind. Another 1.5 billion was transferred into Lin Jun's account. For the first time, the amount of money in Lin Jun's account exceeded the 10 billion mark. Mr. Lin, what's your plan now that you're rich? Dongfang Jun laughed and teased Lin Jun. Lin Jun thought for a while. I'll stay at home for a while. Then I'll go out and hunt monsters for a while to make more money. To his surprise, Dongfang Jun waved his hand. No, you don't have that much time. You still have 3 days. After 3 days, you have to go to the capital base city. 3 days? Why would I go to the capital base city? Lin Jun asked in surprise. Didn't I tell you that you're going to the Divine General Training Camp? It's been decided. I've arranged it just now. There will be a plane coming to pick you up in 3 days. Get ready. Didn't you say 1.5 months? Why is it so fast? Lin Jun was confused. It is indeed 1.5 months, but that's the official start date. Because there are more participants this time, some of them will be eliminated. Everyone is required to arrive early. The competition for the training camp will begin immediately. I see. Only 3 days left. Lin Jun was silent for a while. He didn't have anything important to do at the moment, but he wanted to use this time to resell the meteorites. With the advantage of being a prophet, he was confident that he could get a lot of good stuff. Now that he had money, he couldn't just keep it in his hands. He had to make more money. Lin Jun didn't forget that he still had to buy vitality potions for his parents. It would cost 40 billion in cash, and he only had a quarter of it at the moment. But on second thought, he also had the right to buy and sell meteorites in the capital base city. Moreover, the market there was wider. It would be more convenient to make money than here. Okay, dojo master. I'll be there on time in 3 days. Lin Jun stood up and was about to leave when he suddenly asked, Dojo master, who else will be going to our dojo this time? Dongfang Jun seemed a little embarrassed. There are only 2 people in our dojo this time. One is you, and the other is Shintahua. Shintahua? Isn't he a level 9 warrior? He was injured in the battle with the Russians. How can he participate in the Divine General Training Camp? Shintahua's injury has healed. He made a breakthrough yesterday and officially became a level 1 warlord. Of course, he can't be compared to you. Lin Jun, you're already a level 3 warlord, right? Lin Jun nodded. He was already at the peak of level 3. I'm very optimistic about your future. When I was promoted from a level 9 warrior to a warlord, I only crossed 1 level and entered the early stage of a level 2 warlord. I'm far behind you. After Dongfang Jun finished speaking, he thought for a while and continued. I hope you can let go of your dispute with Shinahua in this Divine General Training Camp. After all, you will be representing Ice City Lifephone when you go out. Unity is very important. There are warriors from all over the country in the capital, and there are also Lifephone dojos in other base cities. However, it doesn't mean that everyone is Liefeng's people. Competition will definitely exist. You will be representing Ice City Base City first, so you must be clear about this. Lin Jun nodded and agreed. Dojo master, don't worry. I understand this very well. That's good. There are many geniuses out there. Lin Jun, I've seen your battle videos. Your strength is already very outstanding. However, in the training camp, I'm sure you are definitely not the strongest. You are not even in the first echelon. Therefore, you must maintain a humble heart. Lin Jun was very clear about this. One must know that the Divine General Training Camp didn't only have beginner warlords. There were also many intermediate and advanced warlords. There were even many level 9 warlords who had yet to graduate. Compared to those people, Lin Jun certainly couldn't be the strongest. Then go back and prepare. Remember to come back in 3 days. The gathering place is St. Sophia's Church. Gather at the church. That's right. This time, Grand Divine Sect Alan's disciple, Tang Yu, will also participate in the Divine General Training Camp. All the participating warriors will gather there. Hearing the name Tang Yu, Lin Jun felt like thunder piercing his ears. St. Sophia's Church was an ancient church in Ice City. It seemed to have been built by the Russians during the Christian era. However, after the Christian era, the original church was long gone. The new St. Sophia's Church was built before the Bay City was built because people began to believe in the existence of God. The church no longer believed in the Lord, but in the starry sky, true God. The head of the church was called the Grand Divine Sect. The current Grand Divine Sect of St. Sophia's Church was called Alan. Alan's surname was AI. He wasn't a Westerner and was usually kind. However, only the top warriors knew that Grand Divine Sect Alan was definitely the strongest person in Ice City Bay City. Lin Jun knew that Alan and Tang Yu were a pair of master and disciple in his previous life. Alan was a Star Realm warrior. When Ice City Bay City fell, he led a group of believers and killed their way out. Tang Yu was Alan's only disciple and was also a spirit reader. If Lin Jun was the most popular warrior in Ice City, then Tang Yu would be the most popular warrior. In his previous life, Tang Yu could be said to be all-powerful. Not only was he famous in Ice City Bay City, he also performed well in the Divine General Training Camp. During his time in the Divine General Training Camp, he obtained a great opportunity. Lin Jun knew that there was a huge tree in the Divine General Training Camp called the Stellar Fruit Tree. It was born from the germination of an alien seed that landed on Earth during the Leonid meteor shower. The stellar fruit tree absorbed the energy of the universe and formed fruits. Consuming them was beneficial to warriors. Tang Yu obtained a special fruit there and learned a skill that only spirit readers could learn: telekinesis teleportation. Telekinesis teleportation was a technique that spirit readers could use to teleport themselves through space for a short distance. It had endless uses. Tang Yu was very lucky at that time. After learning this technique, Tang Yu was almost invincible among those of the same level. Later on, he was also known as the most difficult person to kill. It wasn't until the second cataclysm in his previous life that people realized the true nature of God. All the churches on Earth were destroyed by the angry people. Tang Yu began to go downhill. Lin Jun didn't know what happened to him in the end. Dongfang Jun continued, "You have just entered the warlord stage, so you may not know Tang Yu well. This person is very powerful. He is now a level 6 warlord. Bingqing City has high hopes for him when he goes to the Immortal General Training Camp this time. They hope that he can compete with the genius warriors of other base cities." Lin Jun nodded. If Tang Yu really had the strength of the legends, then he was indeed a true genius. Chapter 118. When he got home, Lin Jun received a call from Ning. He ran out to meet her, and Ning asked Lin Jun to sign an authorization letter for her. It seemed to be something about a lawsuit. Lin Jun didn't care too much and signed it. After that, Ning left mysteriously. For 3 days, Lin Jun was busy and fulfilling. During these 3 days, Lin Jun frequently logged on to the Ministry of Science and Technology's website and bought more than a dozen high-quality meteorites, all of which were dark energy stones. In addition, Lin Jun bought 5 kilograms of liquid metal, making his total liquid metal to 35 kilograms. This liquid metal was not enough to condense into a large spear, but it was enough to condense into a long sword. It was even enough to condense into a short spear. In less than 3 days, Lin Jun's wealth had shrunk to 8 billion. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, Lin Jun was about to relax and go out for a walk when he received another call from Ning. The two agreed to meet at the Black Swan. When Lin Jun arrived, he saw Ning wearing a beautiful fox fur coat with light makeup on her face. She was so beautiful that she didn't look like a real person. "Ning, why are you so beautiful today?" Lin Jun sat down. Although the two were not officially dating, they had already recognized each other in their hearts. There was no restraint. Ning's face was flushed. I heard that you are leaving. Yes, I'm leaving tomorrow morning for the capital Bay City. Then this is for you. Ning said and handed Lin Jun a small box. Lin Jun took it and opened it. It was a metal chip. This is the psychic force impact technique. Aren't you a psychic force user? This is just right for you. If you learn this technique, your psychic force will be more useful. Lin Jun was shocked. He knew about the psychic force impact technique. This kind of thing was to condense psychic force to attack the opponent's mind. As long as the opponent's psychic force was not as strong as the user's, they would definitely be hit by the shockwave. It could be said that this psychic force impact technique was the signature of a psychic force user. However, as far as Lin Jun knew, there were very few psychic force impact technique chips. They could only be found in the ruins of the ancient god. Where did Ning get it? Lin Jun looked solemn. Ning, this thing is too expensive. And as far as I know, you're also a psychic force user. You can keep it. Ning shook his head. I can't use it. Only spirit reader masters above the gold rank can send out spiritual shock. I just reached the silver rank, so I can't use it at all. And you don't have to worry. When I reach the gold rank, I will find a second spiritual shock method. Where did you find it? Lin Jun was very curious. The psychic force impact technique chip was almost impossible to copy because there was a raw material in it that could not be found on Earth. Once used, there would be one less. Where could Ning find it? You don't have to worry about that. In short, just keep it. Lin Jun hesitated. He really wanted this chip, but he estimated that the price of this thing must be ridiculously high. He said to Ning, "How much is it? I will give you 1 billion. Ning made a small fist. If it was before, Lin Jun might not have been able to afford this money. However, it was different now. He still had 8 billion in his card, which was enough to pay Ning the money. Just as he was about to transfer the money to Ning smiled and said, "No need. This money is also yours." What? My money? That's right. A few days ago, when you were in Jiaodong, someone said that you were dead. He made a video and posted it online to mourn you. Many people sent you a wreath, and he got 50% of it. I checked his account, and the income from a wreath was more than 1 billion. I asked you to give me the authorization to get all the money back, and then I bought this gift for you. Lin Jun blinked. In his previous life, other than his parents, this was the first time someone treated him so well. He reached out and grabbed Ning's small hand. And Ning, I will cherish you and protect you forever. Okay, I will wait for you to cherish and protect me. And Ning smiled, her eyes curved like a little fox who had secretly eaten grapes. Looking at the beautiful Ning, Lin Jun secretly made up his mind. When he graduated from the Divine General's training camp, he would pay Ning a visit. St. Sophia's Church was located in the center of Bingqing Bay City. The church was Western style and covered a large area. However, there was no longer a cross on the front door of the church. Instead, there was a circular badge. On the badge was a vast starry sky. In the middle of the starry sky, a blurry figure was sitting cross-legged. That was the true god of the starry sky. It could be said that half of the people in the Bay City believed in the true god. Even Lin Jun used to come to the church to pray. It was not until the second cataclysm that the people's faith completely collapsed. Today, the church was not open to the public because many warriors would come here to participate in the Divine General's training camp in the capital city. Lin Jun said goodbye to his parents early in the morning. He told them that he might be away for a long time and asked them to take care of themselves. His parents were used to Lin Jun wandering outside all day long. They only asked him to be careful and to remember to call home. Lin Jun left home and came here. There were already many warriors gathered here. Lin Jun even saw some familiar faces, such as Shen Hua, Lei Ming, and even Han Fengju and Wu Ming from Chongfeng Bay City. However, no one came to talk to Lin Jun. Lin Jun was happy to be idle. He waited under a pine tree. After waiting for a while, a fat man came over. There were very few fatties among martial artists. With long-term exercise, it was very difficult for one to gain weight. Lin Jun was quite curious to see this fatty. The fat man was not old, no more than 20 years old. He came in front of Lin Jun and said, "Are you Lin Jun?" "Yes, I am Lin Jun." "Great. I am Zhang Yu from Guangying Dojo. You are my admirer. No, I'm your admirer. I also use a spear. Can I teach you a few moves? I'm a bit too excited. Can you teach me a few moves? Hee hee. Lin Jun also smiled. Sure, there will be such opportunities in the future. Seeing that Lin Jun was quite approachable, Zhang Yu was not so nervous. He came over and said, Have you heard? This time, many people will be eliminated from the Divine General Training Camp. Although there are many people here, more than half of them will have to go home early. Those who can stay are the elites. Yes, I heard. Lin Jun nodded. It is not necessarily a good thing to be able to stay. It is said that there are not many people who can successfully graduate from the Divine General Training Camp. Many people die midway. Natural selection. Since you have chosen this path, you must be prepared. Zhang Yu wanted to say something, but another person came over. Lin Jun, you have to be careful. Don't be killed by me before you are eliminated. Lin Jun saw that the person who came was Lu Qingfeng. He did not expect this person to come to the Divine General Training Camp. There was no doubt that he came for him. However, Lin Jun was not afraid of him. He sneered, Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Zhang Yu also chimed in, Don't think that you are better than him just because you chased after Lin Jun last time. Lin Jun didn't want to be entangled with you. In the end, you didn't do anything to Lin Jun. Lu Qingfeng's eyes were filled with anger. Damn fatty, this is none of your business. If you don't want to die, shut up and get lost. Tisk, who do you think you are? Come and hit me if you dare. I am not Zhang Yu if I frown. Zhang Yu was quite arrogant. He did not care about Lu Qingfeng's threat at all. Lin Jun looked at Zhang Yu in surprise. This person was only a level 3 warlord. He did not expect him to dare to go against Lu Qingfeng. His courage was commendable. Lu Qingfeng had indeed come with a mission. His mission was to find an opportunity to kill Lin Jun in the training camp. However, he did not expect to be provoked by a fatty here. He was furious and wanted to attack. Just as he was about to move, a calm voice came from behind him. Don't make a ruckus in front of the church. Lu Qingfeng was furious. Why were there so many ignorant people today? He turned around and scolded. You are? Tang Yu. A handsome young man in a white priest's robe walked past him and glanced at him. Do you have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that. I will leave first. When Lu Qingfeng saw Tang Yu, he was like a mouse that saw a cat. He did not even dare to breathe loudly. He lowered his head and ran away. Tang Yu then looked at Lin Jun and Zhang Yu. He said calmly, God bless us so that we can live under the Milky Way. We must cherish everything in front of us and maintain our respect for God. If you have any problems, you can look for me. However, please do not do anything blasphemous. Zhang Yu hurriedly nodded. Don't worry, Mr. Tang. We are not causing trouble. It was that guy who was looking for trouble. Thank you, Mr. Tang, for helping us out. This is Lin Jun. He is very famous in Bingqing now. Tang Yu walked away without looking back. I was just passing by. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone is the same in the eyes of God. After watching Tang Yu's figure leave, Zhang Yu said to Lin Jun, I suddenly feel that not every strong person is worthy of respect. This Tang Yu, I don't like him. He thinks that he is the representative of God. Lin Jun smiled, but he is indeed very strong. Tang Yu was clearly looking at Zhang Yu when he spoke, but Lin Jun felt a faint pressure. That was the pressure of spiritual power. This proved that Tang Yu was also a spirit reader, and his spiritual power cultivation was higher than Lin Jun's. Based on this, Lin Jun knew that the current him was far from being Tang Yu's opponent. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was currently the strongest warlord in Bingqing. Zhang Yu continued to nag at Lin Jun's side. He knew a lot of people. Sometimes he would tell Lin Jun about this person's strength, and sometimes he would talk about that person's specialty. Time passed quickly. A black shadow swept across the sky, and the surrounding light dimmed. They are here. The people from Beijing Bay City are here to pick them up. Chapter 119. Looking at this flying saucer, Lin Jun felt a little emotional. The major base cities were not allowed to fly between each other. That was a general term for human-made aircraft. However, with the development of technology, there was still a type of aircraft that could pass through the base cities, and that was this flying saucer. This flying saucer had a speed of 10 times the speed of sound and was currently the fastest aircraft in the world. However, it was extremely expensive to make and was basically a limited production. There were only a few of them in the entire Bing City Bay City, and only the capital city had more. Therefore, the non-navigable route was still valid for most people. Only this kind of aircraft that even mutated birds could not catch up with could cross the long distance between two base cities. People moved away from the flying saucer, and the flying saucer in the air began to descend. After landing, the hatch opened, and the first thing that came down was a red carpet. The red carpet rolled on the ground several times before it stopped. Then, two tall warriors walked out. Both of them were level 9 warlords. They were wearing luxurious purple-red suits and holding silver long swords in their hands. They looked like guards of honor in the Christian calendar, standing on the left and right sides of the hatch. After that, 6 beautiful girls in red cheongsams came down. All of them were good-looking, with long legs and fair skin. They stood gracefully on both sides of the red carpet. After these people were in position, the last person came out. It was a middle-aged man in a tang suit. His hair was long and tied into a small braid. He had a small mustache. He slowly walked out of the hatch with his hands behind his back and looked around. "Is there anyone in charge?" he asked calmly. There was a staff member in charge of the Bay City, and he immediately ran over. "Gather all the warriors. I don't want to see them in a mess. If anyone can't find their position in 1 minute, they will be disqualified." Okay, right away." The staff member in charge hurriedly started to greet the warriors. All the warriors quickly gathered. There were 36 people in total, and they quickly stood in 6 neat rows. Lin Jun and Zhang Yu stood in the 5th row. When everyone was in position, the middle-aged man with a mustache coughed and said, "Let me introduce myself first. I am Guan Shanyue from the Ares training camp, and I am also your instructor. From today onwards, all of you have to listen to my orders. Do not doubt my words, and do not question my orders, because you can't afford the consequences." Guan Shanyue's gaze swept across everyone. Seeing that no one dared to make a sound, he was slightly satisfied. Remember, no matter how outstanding your resume is or how glorious your military exploits are, you are just an ordinary student in the Immortal General Training Camp. Students don't have any special privileges. If you want special privileges, you can have them. Show me some decent results. As long as you can beat the students from other Bay cities, you can eat and drink well. Holidays? Money? Even if you want to play with women, I'll send them to you. Many warriors had smiles on their faces. Obviously, they were very confident in themselves. Guan Shanyue glanced around again. Don't be happy too early. Graduating from the Immortal General Training Camp is enough to bring honor to your ancestors and have a bright future. However, many people are eliminated before graduation. They are lucky to be able to go home safely. Some people don't even have a place to bury their bones after death. You guys should thank the gods if 1/5 of you can graduate successfully. His words made many warriors' faces change slightly, but they soon returned to normal. After all, those who could participate in the Immortal General Training Camp were very confident in themselves. "I won't say any more nonsense. We are leaving now. I believe you have said goodbye to your families before coming here. I hope this farewell is not forever." After that, Guan Shanyue took the lead and boarded the flying saucer. Then all the warriors lined up and boarded the flying saucer one after another. After Lin Jun boarded the flying saucer, he found that the center of the flying saucer was almost a big room. There were circles of seats around the room. The chairs could be adjusted automatically. It was quite comfortable to sit or lie down. These warriors were also very orderly. They quickly found their seats and sat down. Guan Shanyue did not talk much with anyone from Bing City. After everyone boarded the flying saucer, he immediately ordered the door to be closed. The flying saucer started very quickly. It rose from the ground, and after reaching a height of 100 meters, it accelerated and flew away quickly. "Sit tight. We're going to fly above the clouds. There are basically no mutant birds that can threaten us. Only those mutant swans can't keep up with the flying saucer speed," Guan Shanyue ordered. Then he opened a small door and entered a single room. The stewardesses also entered the single room. Only the warriors were left in the hall. As the flying saucer gradually stabilized, they could no longer see Bing City Base City. The warriors in the cabin gradually became more active. Hey, have you heard? This time, the Immortal General Training Camp is filled with talented warriors from all the major base cities in the country. I heard that there's a ranking. Really? What about the ranking? What's the ranking system? There's a ranking before. There is an individual ranking and a base city ranking. There are more people this time. There is a ladder for the individual ranking. The individual ranking is determined by the result of climbing the ladder. But the warriors who have been there are not willing to talk about the details. But I know a little about the base city ranking. The warrior who spoke was interested and began to introduce the ranking. At present, there are a total of 6 base cities in the country. They are the capital base city, Bing City Base City, Tianfu Base City, Southern Base City, Magic City Base City, and Northwest Base City. I heard that the best base cities in recent years are the capital Base City and Magic City Base City. I also heard that the Southern Base City is not bad. They also took first place once. Tianfu Base City is in the middle. Our Bing City is a little worse. We have taken 5th place several times. But recently, we were even surpassed by the Northwest Base City. We have been at the bottom of the Immortal General Training Camp for 3 consecutive years. No way. Is our Bing City that bad? Some warriors still didn't believe it. You don't have to be unconvinced. Let's not talk about Beijing. They're the center of the city and the biggest base city. They have access to all kinds of resources. Naturally, there are many geniuses there. Take Shanghai as an example. As it is close to the sea, the martial artists there will often fight with sea monsters. They are much stronger than Bing City. Heroes emerge from real battles. That place is the best place to challenge Beijing. In the south, it is also close to the sea and has many rivers. The population density there is also high. During the Christian calendar, several major cities in the south gathered there. There are also many immigrants from Southeast Asia. There are also a lot of resources there. They are also very rich. Their strength is not much worse than the capital Base City and Magic City Base City. What about Tianfu Base and Northwest Base City? Compared to our Bing City, they don't have any advantages. Who says they don't have any advantages? Tianfu Base City is located in a good location. It is the first base city to be established. It is a veteran powerhouse. Although other base cities have been rising in the past 200 or 300 years, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. They're still stronger than our Bing City. Many warriors nodded. Tianfu Base City was indeed the oldest base city. Although it had been surpassed by the capital Base City and South Base City, it was still not something Bing City could compare with. That warrior was still unconvinced. What about the Northwest? The Northwest doesn't have any advantages over us, right? The Northwest does not have any advantages. But don't forget that the Northwest is close to Central Asia. The European Union and Russia have base cities there. It is the only place where China is connected to other countries. It is also the place where most of the troops are stationed. It is not to guard against monsters, but to guard against people. There's a military martial arts school there. It is the main force of the Northwest people. I heard that there have been many geniuses there in the past few years. There is nothing special about military warriors, right? In our base city, the military warriors are very weak. There are basically no geniuses. That is our base city. We have not been attacked by any big monsters yet. Also, the Black Dragon River and Wassily River are natural barriers between us and Russia. It is considered the safest place. It is different in the Northwest. There are often battles with people from other countries. These battle-hardened warriors are naturally more powerful than flowers in a greenhouse. The military is the most powerful force in the Northwest. It is stronger than Liefeng, Chongfeng, and Dragon Slayer. Moreover, the people of the Northwest military are very united. For the past 2 years, they have been suppressing Bing City Base City. I think Tianfu Base City's 4th place is not guaranteed. It is even possible for the Northwest to enter the top 3. The warrior was very proud after his boastful introduction. However, the other warriors were a little depressed. Someone said, Does that mean Bing City's ranking will be very bad this time? I heard that the ranking is related to the distribution of resources and rights, etc. The overall ranking will be bad. Let's see if there are some amazing people who can make a name for themselves and reach the top of the ranking. They can save some face for us. If you say so, then I'm relieved. We have a lot of experts on our side, such as Tang Yu. With him around, I'm very confident in the divine general training camp. Brother Tang, please take care of me when the time comes. The warrior smiled and looked at Tang Yu, who had been resting with his eyes closed. Tang Yu did not even open his eyes. It is better to rely on yourself than on others. It is useless to rely on others to take care of you. Moreover, the starry sky true God is watching my every move. I can't be biased to anyone, so I can't help you. The warrior's smile froze. The snorts around him made him feel even more embarrassed. He sat back down in embarrassment. Zhang Yu curled his lips at Lin Zhen. This Tang Yu is really good at pretending. I find myself disliking him more and more. Lin Zhen also glanced at Tang Yu. He did not know this person well, but he was sure that they were not on the same side. After Tang Yu spoke, the atmosphere in the aircraft became a little strange. No one made a sound. Lu Qingfeng was also very well behaved throughout the journey. As for Xindahua, he stayed far away from Lin Zhen and did not interact with him. After a while, the small cabin door opened and Guan Shanyue walked out. Everything is ready. We are about to reach our destination. That's great. I can finally see the capital Bay City. I have never left Bing City in my life. I wonder how prosperous the capital Bay City is. Guan Shanyue looked at the person and said coldly, "Who told you that we are about to reach the capital Bay City?" When everyone heard that, they all looked out the window. At this time, the aircraft had begun to land. They all saw a scene that shocked them. Chapter 120. Seeing the tree, everyone was shocked. Even Lin Zhen was shocked. Stellar fruit tree. Lin Zhen said in his mind. Although the UFO had already descended, it was still thousands of meters above the ground. However, people could see that the tree was almost parallel to the UFO. Although there was a distance between the two, they couldn't see the whole picture of the tree. The tree was so huge that it even covered the mountain. Looking at everyone's shocked expression, Guan Shanyue said proudly, "This is the first time you see it, right? Some of you may have heard of the stellar fruit tree, but I don't think you've seen it with your own eyes. This tree is nearly 1,000 years old. Its seeds are not from a species on Earth. They fell on Earth with the Leonid meteor shower. Since then, they have taken root and sprouted. Every year, they grow 3 to 5 meters. Doesn't that mean it's almost 4,000 meters high? I've only heard of the stairway to heaven, but I've never heard of this tree. Why is it called the stellar fruit tree?" A warrior asked. "This is the secret of the divine general training camp. You'll have to sign a confidentiality agreement when you get there. You're not allowed to leak the details of the divine general training camp, especially the stellar fruit tree. It's a precious treasure of our country." Guan Shanyue continued. "As for why it's called the stellar fruit tree, it's because the fruits on this tree are as bright as stars, and there are many varieties. Warriors who eat them will benefit a lot. You will slowly understand the specific situation." As the UFO descended, the warriors all focused on the stellar fruit tree. Someone asked, "But why can't I see any fruits?" "You can't see them from the outside. The fruits grow inside the tree. The outside is covered by countless leaves. The leaves are not only incredibly dense, but also very corrosive. Neither aircrafts nor birds can pass through them. So the only way to find the stellar fruit tree is to climb it." Sure enough, the UFO was flying far away from the fruit tree. They didn't dare to get closer. All they could see was a sea of green covering the sky and the sun. They couldn't see the end of the tree. They didn't know how big the tree was. It was indeed not a species from Earth. What about the stairway to heaven? What's the stairway to heaven? The stairway to heaven is actually carved out from the trunk of the stellar fruit tree. It goes up around the fruit tree, from the bottom of the fruit tree to the center of the trunk. This part of the journey is called the stairway to heaven. When the time comes, the result of climbing the stairway to heaven will be your personal result. As Guan Shanyue explained, the flying saucer descended and finally landed on the ground. "All right, we've arrived at the immortal general training camp. We're still 300 kilometers away from the capital Bay City. There are mountains and rivers blocking the way, and there are countless mutant beasts along the way. Don't even think about walking to Ice City, even if you're a spirit reader. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. Now, everyone, sign a confidentiality agreement, and then you can go down. Soon, a beautiful stewardess handed each of them a confidentiality agreement. Regardless of whether they graduated or were eliminated, they were not allowed to reveal the contents of the divine general training camp. Otherwise, they would be hunted down. There were many rules, and they were extremely strict. Lin Jun glanced at them and wrote his name. After everyone had signed the confidentiality agreement, Guan Shanyue led everyone down from the flying saucer. After they got down from the flying saucer, they could feel the warmth. The temperature here was at least 20 degrees lower than in Ice City. It was like spring here. The Immortal General Training Camp was a huge camp. The area was almost the size of a small town. There were many buildings and a huge training ground. As for the stellar fruit tree, it was about 10 kilometers away from the camp. At such a distance, people still couldn't see the full picture of the fruit tree. They could only see the huge trunk reaching into the sky. The sky was filled with lush green, and the crown of the tree was so huge that they couldn't see the end of it. Wow, the more I look at this tree, the more shocked I am. Yes, it's so huge. It's like a mountain, and we're standing at the foot of it. And the trunk is so thick. It's thicker than a mountain. No wonder such a huge crown of the tree can't be blown down by the wind. I have a feeling that something on the tree is calling me. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. There must be a stellar fruit waiting for me to pick it. You're not the only one who has this feeling. Look, there are more people coming. There was a slight buzzing sound in the air. Another flying saucer had arrived. A flying saucer similar to this one landed on the ground, and a large group of people walked down from it. Zhang Yu stood beside Lin Jun and said, "Look, they're from Modu Bay City." Lin Jun looked at Zhang Yu and asked, "How do you know they're from Modu Bay City?" "Because Modu Bay City is very close to Ice City. Of course, they'll arrive at the same time." Zhang Yu said matter-of-factly. Lin Jun was speechless. But this time, Zhang Yu was right. Those people came down from the flying saucer, glanced at them, and then started chatting with disdain. Their attention was on the stellar fruit tree, and they didn't care about the people from Ice City at all. These guys are really arrogant. Zhang Yu was not convinced. After a while, more flying saucers arrived one after another. Following Moda Bay City was Tianfu Bay City. The people of Tianfu Bay City were also very arrogant. As the oldest Bay City, although Tianfu Bay City had started to decline, the warriors there were still proud. After Tianfu Bay City, the people from a southern Bay City also arrived. When they arrived, they stared at the people from Moda Bay City. Both sides were not convinced. After the southern Bay City, the people from a northwestern Bay City also arrived. Unlike the other Bay Cities, the warriors from the northwestern Bay City were dressed very casually. The people from the northwestern Bay City were all in military uniforms. They lined up neatly in a military formation. Although the people from Moda Bay City, Tianfu Bay City, and the southern Bay City did not care about the people from the northwestern Bay City, they had to admit that in terms of overall momentum, the people from the northwestern Bay City had a clear advantage. On the contrary, the warriors from Ice City Bay City were the most inconspicuous. After the people from the 5 Bay Cities had all arrived, the warriors from the capital Bay City, who were supposed to be the first to arrive, came late. The flying saucer from the capital Bay City seemed to be bigger than the ones from the other Bay Cities. The number of warriors that came down was also higher. In fact, the number of warriors from each Bay City was not the same. The Godly Generals Training Camp also gave different quotas to each Bay City. Since Ice City Bay City was ranked last, the number of warriors that were selected was less. There were only a few dozen warriors, while the capital Bay City, which was ranked first, had more than 100 warriors. After the people from the capital Bay City arrived, all the warriors were considered to have arrived. The person who led the team from Ice City was Guan Shanyue. He organized the warriors to line up. As he lined up, he said, "The head instructor will be here soon. Everyone, stay alert. Do not provoke him." "Instructor Guan, do we still have a head instructor?" a warrior asked. Of course. The head instructor is called Guo. He is a ninth-level war god. He is in charge of your life and death. He is not as easy to talk to as I am. He is here. The head instructor Guo had arrived. The other base cities also had their own leaders. Very quickly, the warriors from each base city were gathered. Guo was a muscular man with a dark face. He was also an advanced-level war god. He was a serious man. Just by standing there casually, the noisy scene immediately quieted down. A pair of eagle-like eyes scanned the crowd. Guo said, "Do you know why you are here?" No one answered. "You don't know? Then let me tell you. Once you are here, you better forget about your previous identities. Don't try to throw a tantrum. Here, all you can do is train, work hard, and achieve results. Don't think about anything else. If I find any of you fooling around, then get the hell out of here." Many warriors were unhappy. This head instructor's words were too harsh. Normally, these elite warriors were all famous people, so they couldn't stand it. Guo looked at their expressions and sneered. "You don't like it? Do you know what kind of tree this is? It's a stellar fruit tree. We've heard of it. It's good that you know, but you don't know the details. Now, I'll add that the stellar fruit tree is 4,100 meters tall. It's not a tree from Earth, but rather from the vast universe. This tree is precious because of the fruits on it. Actually, they aren't called fruits. Instead, they are crystals formed by absorbing energy from the universe. We call them star crystals." Guo spoke frankly. Star crystals are energy crystals. There are many levels from low to high. If a warrior absorbs one, it can quickly strengthen his Dantian Qi, making it easier for you to advance from a war god to a war god. Absorbing the star crystals from a stellar fruit tree can increase Dantian Qi. Some warriors were very surprised. That's right. This is the biggest secret of the Divine General Training Camp. That's why you have to sign a confidentiality agreement. This is the place where war gods can advance from war gods to war gods the fastest. The warriors' eyes were filled with excitement. They couldn't wait to climb the stairway to heaven and search for star crystals from the stellar fruit tree. Unexpectedly, Guo spoke again. "Now, let me ask, is there anyone else who doesn't like it? If anyone is dissatisfied with the Divine General Training Camp, then you can get the hell out of here." The warriors looked at each other. No one expressed any dissatisfaction. "Since no one has any objections, you will have to obey the management of the training camp from now on. I don't care about the dirty things between you all. The training camp is a place of competition. Only the fittest will survive. Those who don't perform well will be eliminated. You all have 3 days to adapt. In these 3 days, your instructor will teach you some survival knowledge on the stellar fruit tree. After 3 days, everyone will start climbing the stairway to heaven. Do you understand?" "Understood. Understood," the warriors shouted in unison. Chapter 121. The leaders first distributed dormitory numbers to all the warriors. Not everyone from the base city would be in the same dormitory. Instead, they were randomly assigned to different dormitory numbers. There were 4 people in each dormitory. Lin Jun and Zhang Yu happened to be in the same dormitory in the same building. In addition to their dormitory numbers, each of them also received a book. This book is called the Star Fruit Tree Survival Handbook. It contains the knowledge of the star fruit tree. Don't think that a tree is nothing special. Being able to survive on this tree and collect star crystals is not an easy task. Even climbing the tree is a huge challenge. In the next few days, you will have to study this book thoroughly. Otherwise, you will have to suffer in 3 days. Everyone carefully put away the book, preparing to burn the midnight oil for the night. You can walk around freely in this courtyard and communicate with people from other base cities. The cafeteria is downstairs. It provides 3 meals a day. However, from now on, all of your communication devices cannot be used to contact the outside world. If you want to call home, you can call me. After Guan Shanyu finished speaking, these people took out their mobile phones. Sure enough, there was no signal at all. However, there was an intranet of the training camp that they could log into. You can log into the intranet and check everything here. Everyone's account is bound to your mobile phone. There will be no impersonation. You can slowly study the specific situation. I hope you will not embarrass me when you climb the stairway to heaven. Not only will you embarrass me, but you will also embarrass the people of your base city. Guanshanhua also left slowly. The warriors from Ice City went to find their own dormitories and returned to their own dormitories to read about the stellar fruit tree. Of course, there were also people who did not read immediately. Instead, they walked around and familiarized themselves with the situation here. Linjin did not go out. Zhang Yu also did not know where he went. He returned to his dormitory alone. Lin Jun found his dormitory building, which was located in the north of the training camp. His dormitory was 208. It was the 8th room on the 2nd floor. There were 4 people in a room. When he entered, there were already 2 people in the room. One of them was wearing a cool golden leather jacket. He had an afro and was dressed in a non-mainstream way. He was a level 5 warlord. There was also a young man with a medium build and a crew cut. He was a rank 4 warlord and didn't have outstanding looks. Her afro head whistled when she saw Lin Jun. Finally, I have a roommate who looks decent. What's your name? My name is Lin Jun. I'm from Bing City. What about you? The afro head said, My name is Ma Mingxing. I'm from Shanghai. My name is Sun Tai, from Heaven's Sanctum. Sun Tai said as he tidied up the bed. He chose a lower bunk, and so did Mingxing Ma. The 2 of them were facing each other. Star Ma looked at Sun Tai with disdain. Hey, can you not choose the lower bunk? If I see your face every day when I open my eyes, I'm afraid I won't be able to eat. Sun Tai glanced at Star Ma with a hint of anger on his face. Then where do you want me to go? Go to the top bunk and lie on top of me. That way, I won't be able to see you. Sun Tai was very unwilling. Ma Xingxing immediately clenched his fists. Why? Is there anything else you're not convinced about? It's not that I'm looking down on you, but those people from Heaven's Sanctum can only fool around in their own homes. In front of the martial artists from Shanghai, you are definitely no match for them. The 2 of them stared at each other for a while. In the end, Sun Tai gave in. He had just become a 4th-grade warlord, and Star Ma was already a late-stage 5th-grade warlord. The gap between the 2 of them was not small, and he did not want to cause trouble. Lin Jun, you can sleep on the lower bunk opposite me. This way, I can see you every day, and my mood will be better. Lin Jun was a little speechless. This roommate was a little weird. However, Lin Jun was never willing to care about these trivial matters. It was the same everywhere. The bedding and luggage here were all brought by themselves. Lin Jun also took out a few sets of clothes and simple toiletries from his spatial ring and hung them here to tidy up. At this moment, the door was knocked open, and Zhang Yu ran in excitedly. Who are you? Why are you so rude? Star Ma saw that Zhang Yu was a fatty and immediately said in disdain, Why you care who I am? I'm in this dormitory, so what? Zhang Yu rolled his eyes and did not give Star Ma any face. F***CK. Kid, are you looking for trouble? Star Ma immediately rolled up his sleeves. Zhang Yu did not show any signs of weakness. He rubbed his fists and said to Lin Jun, Lin Jun, you don't have to do anything today. Watch me deal with this guy whose head seems to have been blown up. What did you say? My head was blown up? Do you know fashion? This is the most popular hairstyle in Shanghai. I can tell that a fatty like you is not a good person. Lin Jun, do you know Lin Jun? Lin Jun turned around and looked at Star Ma. Star Ma, this is Zhang Yu, who came from Bing City with me. He's not a bad person. Forget it. Star Ma did not continue to make trouble. He glanced at Zhang Yu from the corner of his eyes. Fatty, pay attention to the way you speak in the future. Don't talk nonsense if you don't know fashion. Zhang Yu also replied, If we're talking about the size of your head, you're much fatter than me. You bastard. Star Ma was so angry that he rolled his eyes. Zhang Yu ignored Star Ma and ran to Lin Jun. He took out a book and said, Dang, 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 dang. Idol, look, I got this. What is this? Lin Jun took the book. Hee, this is good stuff. It's an encyclopedia of the most popular people in the training camp. All the geniuses from a major base cities are introduced here, and the prettiest girls are all listed here. I spent 300,000 to buy it. Lin Jun looked at Zhang Yu. This guy's clothes were ordinary, and he did not expect him to spend 300,000 renminbi on this book. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Let me see. I should be on the list. My strength and look should be on the list. Starma was also interested when he heard the book. He immediately squeezed his way over to Zhang Yu. What are you looking at? I will not show you. I can tell you that your name is not on the list. Zhang Yu did not give in. He used his big butt to squeeze Starma. Starma was not easy to deal with. Since Zhang Yu bought the book, he did not want to take it from him. However, he did not want to leave. He stuck his butt out and kept nudging Zhang Yu. It was hard to tell who was the better one. Lin Jin did not care about these two idiots. He flipped through the book alone. On the first page of the book was a girl in white. She had an orchid temperament and was as beautiful as a fairy. There were 2 lines of words on the book. If there is no Su Mingyue in this world, who in this world would be worthy of wearing white? There was an introduction after that. Su Mingyue comes from the capital Bay City's Grace Cathedral. She is the direct disciple of the cathedral and the saintess of the cathedral. Female fighters are rare, but Su Mingyue is a genius. She is an 8th grade warlord. Some people even say that she is a natural speed user. She is not even 20 years old yet. Compared to her strength, her elegant and fairy-like temperament is more eye-catching. Don't you think she's the person in your dreams? There was a comment at the end. Number 1 on the freshman's attention list, Su Mingyue. She's a goddess of both beauty and strength. Lin Jun looked at the girl. His expression became serious. He had met Su Mingyue in his previous life. Su Mingyue was a believer of God and was known as the saintess. During the second cataclysm, she even reached the star realm. The second cataclysm allowed her to see the true face of God. She went from being the most devout believer to being the first to rebel against God. When the extraterrestrial civilization invaded, God was the target of their subjugation. However, Su Mingyue's resistance led to a large number of people in the capital Bay City to rebel as well. Of course, they failed in the end. Su Mingyue died in that battle. She died together with an expert from the other side. That battle could be described as earth-shattering. Lin Jun was among the spectators at that time. Even though Lin Jun was cautious at that time and didn't stand out easily, he still pinched his palms until they bled. Su Mingyue's courage shocked him. He didn't expect to meet Su Mingyue at this time in the Divine General Training Camp. Lin Jun took a deep breath. In this life, if there were no accidents, Su Mingyue might walk the same path again. He turned to Su Mingyue's page. On the second page was a smiling man holding a long sword. This man wasn't very handsome, but he had a good temperament and looked very bright. At first glance, one could tell that he was the kind of person who was particularly well educated. Who dares to travel the world with a sword? Only the Lone Ranger Jiang Huai. Comment: Lone Ranger Jiang Huai from Moda Bay City. He is a 9th level warlord and a spirit reader. His strength is unparalleled. He once killed an A-class monster alone. It could be said that he has created a miracle among the warlords. He is currently recognized as the strongest warlord. Seeing this, Lin Jun vaguely remembered that he seemed to have heard of Jiang Huai's name in his previous life, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it. Logically speaking, a warlord who could kill an A-class mutant monster alone was definitely a genius among geniuses. Lin Jun still remembered that Bai Feng and the other 2 warlords were chased by an A-class mutant monster in Ilan County. However, why didn't such a genius have much memory? Could it be that he had fallen? Lin Jun thought. On the 3rd page, there was a wild and powerful man in black armor. But with Northwest changing here, no foreign enemies can cross the border. Comment: the number 1 warlord of the Northwest Military Dojo, a 9th level warlord, Li Changjing. He was born with superhuman strength and speed. His weapon is a long spear. He has been fighting with the European Union and Russia for a long time. His reputation in the outer region is even greater than in the Northwest Bay City. He is known as the warlord among the warlords. He is a strong contender for the top 3 in this year's Stairway Tournament. Lin Jun remembered this person. He was a very powerful warrior in the Northwest region. However, Lin Jun had never been to the Northwest in his previous life, so he didn't know the details. On the 4th page, there was another warrior from the capital Bay City. His name was Zhou Xiangbei, and he was also a 9th level warlord. Lin Jun only had a vague impression of him, but from the introduction, he was also very strong. When Lin Jun turned to the 5th page, A handsome man in a priest's robe appeared. A stranger from the other side is like jade. 10-mile spring breeze is not as good as you. Comment. Bing City Bay City has been at the bottom for 3 consecutive tournaments. This time, we have finally welcomed a genius leader. He is Tang Yu, a disciple of the Saint Sophia Church's great divinity sect. He is a level 8 warlord and a spirit reader master. Whether Bing City can achieve anything in this tournament depends on him. Chapter 122. After Tang Yu, there were many more names. Lin Jun had a slight impression of some of them, but he had no idea about some of them. Among them, Lin Jun knew that Song Tianming from the Southern Bay City, Huang Yinglai from the Tianfu Bay City, and others had been quite famous in his previous life. A total of 10 advanced warlords were introduced, and they were all top experts. In addition, 10 intermediate warlords and beginner warlords were also listed. It was said that the Stairway to Heaven test was divided into 3 groups, one for each advanced, intermediate, and beginner. Therefore, the editor had done a lot of research. Among the intermediate warlords, there were 3 from the Southern Bay City, 3 from the capital city, 2 from the Magic City, 1 from the Northwestern Bay City, and 1 from the Tianfu Bay City. Star Ma's name was not on the list. Among the beginner warlords, the leader was a level 3 warlord from the Magic City Bay City named In Chi. He was a telekinesis master and was born with great strength. It was said that his strength was outstanding and that he had killed advanced warlords many times. In addition, Sui Chonglong from the Northwestern Bay City was ranked 2nd. It was said that the Northwestern Army was grooming him as their future successor. He was quite powerful. Even after flipping through the book, Lin Jun did not find his name among the beginner warlords. This was normal. Lin Jun had only been promoted to warlord for 4 or 5 days. The editor might not have known about Lin Jun's situation yet. Lin Jun raised his head and said to Star Ma and Zhang Yu, who were still rubbing against each other, "Okay, stop rubbing against each other. Star Ma's name is not on the book." Star Ma was stunned. "What? I'm not on the list? F*CK. Is the person who edited this book out of his mind? With my strength and looks, I should be on the list no matter what. I'm not convinced." Zhang Yu curled his lips. "What are you not convinced about? Even my idol, Lin Jun, is not on the list. Who do you think you are?" "That's true. Although Lin Jun is not strong, his looks are not inferior to mine. He should be on the list." Star Ma was obviously obsessed with looks. After thinking for a while, Mr. Ma returned to his bed. "Then Jiang Huai from our base city is definitely on the list. There's almost no one who can be compared to him. He's definitely number 1. Forget it. The first is a girl called Su Mingwei from Beijing Bay City. She is so beautiful. Among all the women I have seen, only a Ning from Bing City can be compared to her." Zhang Yu did not know where he had seen a Ning before, but he remembered a Ning's beauty. Mingxing Ma also nodded. Su Mingwei is indeed qualified. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also very strong. When we were on the flying saucer, Jiang Huai also said that he didn't have the confidence to beat Su Mingwei. After thinking for a while, he added, "There's also Li Changjing from the Northwest. That person is quite ruthless. He's able to compete with boss Jiang Huai. Then, there's also Zhou Xiangbei from the capital who's quite strong. Oh right, there's also someone in Bingsheng who's quite strong. He's quite handsome too. I know him. Tang Yu, a disciple of the Grand Divinity sect. What cocky guy." Zhang Yu curled his lips. Star Ma laid on his bed leisurely. "It's fine if I don't get on the list. It doesn't matter if I don't get on the list. As long as I can get on the Stairway tournament, it's enough. My ultimate goal here is to climb the stellar fruit tree. Then, those people will know my strength." They chatted for a while and returned to their beds. They opened the survival manual and started reading. Lin Jin had heard of the star fruit tree in the Celestial General's training camp in his previous life, but he had never had the chance to see it. After the second cataclysm, the star fruit tree was taken over by an extraterrestrial civilization, and no one on Earth was allowed to approach it. It was also at that time that the legend of the stellar fruit tree spread. The stellar fruit tree did not bear fruit, but it bloomed. The fruits were energy crystals, and the fruits were very special. There were many types of stellar crystals. The most common type was the stellar core crystal. When the flower bloomed, the fruit would be revealed. The initial stage was the stellar core. It was a small, shiny, round crystal, just like the planet's core that Lin Jun had absorbed. Above the stellar core, there was the meteor crystal, also known as the meteor crystal. At that time, the fruit would be more condensed and would have a light tail. At that time, the fruit's energy would be stronger. These two types of fruits were more suitable for beginner warlords. Above the meteor crystal, there was the comet crystal. The light tail was brighter and bigger, and the effect was stronger. Above the comet crystal, there was also the satellite crystal. At that time, the fruit had entered the initial stage of maturity. The energy would automatically form a small planet on the flower. Both the comet crystal and the satellite crystal were suitable for intermediate warlords to absorb. Of course, advanced warlords could also absorb them, but the effect would not be as strong. Above the satellite crystal, there was the planetary crystal. Above the planetary crystal, there was the stellar crystal. These two types were suitable for advanced warlords to absorb. It was said that if a level 9 warlord could absorb 10 stellar crystals in a row, he could directly become a warlord. If advanced warlords absorbed the stellar core crystal and the meteor crystal, the effect would be even smaller. If a beginner warlord wanted to absorb the stellar crystal, the only result would be his dantian exploding. Therefore, the path had to be taken one step at a time, and rice had to be eaten one bite at a time. The stellar crystal was the best stellar crystal that the stellar fruit tree could condense. It was also the peak of the mature stage. After this stage, the stellar crystal would begin to decay and gradually turn into a white dwarf. Its energy would dissipate, and it would eventually form the shape of a supernova. It would then crack and dissipate in the air. There was another characteristic of the stellar fruit tree. After the energy crystals were plucked, they had to be absorbed and used within a short period of time. Otherwise, they would dissipate. Moreover, the energy crystals could not be taken out of the stellar fruit tree's canopy. Otherwise, they would dissipate immediately. Therefore, the stellar crystal belonged to whoever obtained it. If one wanted to give it to one's companions, they had to act quickly. Otherwise, it would be a waste. In addition, there are some extremely special stellar crystals. For example, they contain some kind of energy. If a warrior could grasp them, it would be a great opportunity. For example, Lin Jun knew that Tang Yu obtained a stellar crystal with the power of space. As a result, he comprehended telekinetic teleportation and became an absolute expert. Of course, this kind of star crystal was very rare. The stellar fruit tree had existed for so many years, and the divine general training camp had been running for hundreds of years. Many of the older star crystals had been plucked away. This was because star crystals needed time to grow. It wasn't like a stellar crystal would grow in a short period of time. The first star crystals that grew were star core crystals. Therefore, it was not easy to find older stellar crystals in the later stages. Not to mention the kind of stellar crystals with special energy, which required luck. However, it was not easy to survive in the stellar fruit tree. If a warrior could enter the stellar fruit tree's canopy through the heaven ladder, it would be equivalent to going to another world. The stellar fruit tree itself rejected the aura of warlords. This was because the dantian chi inside the warlord's body would form a cyclone, which would compete with the stellar fruit tree for energy. Therefore, warlords would be attacked by the branches within the canopy. Once someone wanted to become a warlord, they would have to leave the stellar fruit tree immediately. Therefore, the entire stellar fruit tree's canopy was filled with warlords. Naturally, it was not easy to survive in such an environment, fight monsters, and also fight with humans. Moreover, this tree had grown for thousands of years. Many insects on the tree had mutated and become extremely ferocious. They were the biggest threat to warriors. Since the end of the world, there are almost no insects left on Earth. Only the stellar fruit tree was different. The dense life energy here caused countless insects to gather. Moreover, after thousands of years of evolution, people could not tell whether these insects came from Earth or outer space. It was possible that they came from both. Aphids that were more ferocious than giant pythons, ladybugs that were as big as houses, spiders that could eat people, mantises that could cut through steel, ants that were more ferocious than jackals and wolves, etc. These things were also a huge threat to warriors. This survival manual introduced the types of insects, their characteristics, weaknesses, and so on in detail. Lin Jun read it very carefully. He did not know everything just because he was reborn. He could only remember some important things. It was impossible for him to know everything, so he had to learn. The rest of the people were also attracted by the contents of the book. Sun Tai did not like to talk. Star Ma and Zhang Yu also quieted down. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already night. Lin Jun sat cross-legged on the bed. He took out the metal virtual helmet from his spatial ring and took out the chip that Ning gave him. After installing the chip and putting on the helmet, Lin Jun began to learn the Spirit Force Impact Technique. The Spirit Force Impact Technique was an ability to circulate the spirit force and let it rush out of the body to act on the human brain. The method of exerting the spirit force was very complicated. It was not easy to learn. With Lin Jun's current talent, he could only be considered a beginner after an entire night. For the next 2 days, Lin Jun almost never left his room. He just stayed indoors and practiced the Spirit Force Impact Technique. Zhang Yu, Star Ma, and the others could not do anything about Lin Jun not going out. They could not be seen all day anyway, so they all ran out to play. In fact, most warriors did not stay indoors for the past 2 days. The Divine General Training Camp was also an excellent opportunity to make friends. Once this batch of people graduated, they would all become war gods. Moreover, they would undoubtedly become the main war gods of their respective base cities. The more friends you have, the more options you have. Very few people would still be able to calm down and practice martial arts at this time. Even Sun Tai, who was in the dormitory, disappeared early the next morning. 2 days passed in a row. It was not until the 3rd night of the training camp that Lin Jun truly mastered the Spirit Force Impact Technique. Phew, this technique is really not simple. After learning it, I can use my spirit force more precisely. This Spirit Force Impact Technique is invisible, colorless, and silent. It directly affects the mind. Anyone with weak spirit force will be directly knocked down. If the difference in strength is too great, it is even possible to turn them into idiots with one blow. However, this technique also has a flaw, which is that there will be a backlash. Spirit force is a double-edged sword. When I attack my opponent, I will also be stimulated. If the opponent's spirit force is too strong, this technique will not be so effective. Instead, it will stimulate my mind. My spirit force has now stabilized at the intermediate gold level. The golden aura of the spirit force in my mind has occupied nearly half of it. Among the warlords, there should not be many people who can surpass my spirit force. As the sky brightened, the dormitory building became noisy. Chapter 123. When everyone stood under the stellar fruit tree and looked up, they were even more shocked by the majesty of the tree. Standing under the tree, the sky was covered by the canopy. They couldn't see the end of the canopy. Roughly, the diameter of the canopy was at least 100 kilometers. Chief Instructor Mo stood under the tree and said to all the trainees, "After 3 days of adjustment, our Divine General Training Camp will officially begin. Now, in front of you is the stellar fruit tree. There are 3 paths that lead to the top of the tree. You can see it now." Everyone's eyes were focused on the tree trunk. Sure enough, they saw a circular path spiraling up the tree trunk. It was a staircase that was dug out from the bark. It was about 5 meters wide, but this 5-meter width didn't even go through the bark. It could be seen how thick the tree trunk was. Moreover, there was a platform every 400 meters, which was supposed to be used for resting. I'm sure all of you already know that there's a ranking between the bases and each of you. The specific method of ranking is to climb the stairway to heaven. This time, there are a total of 300 freshmen, 100 of which are advanced, intermediate, and beginner. Every time, each group will send out 5 people, and there will be a total of 20 batches to reach the top. You see the 5 platforms, starting from 400 meters, 800 meters, 1,200 meters, 1,600 meters, 1,600 meters, and 2,000 meters. There are a total of 5 platforms. That is not a place for you to rest, but a place to test you. The martial artists were all stunned. They had thought that the so-called test was to climb the tree. After all, it was a height of 2,000 meters. If they were to spiral up, they would have to walk 6 or 7,000 meters. This was also a great test of their physical strength. Some of you may think that it is to climb the tree. Then you are too naive. The Divine General Training Camp trains talents. First of all, this person can't be a fool. Temperament, courage, willpower, strength, courage, and so on are the focus of our assessment. A person with an evil nature can't become a member of the Divine General Training Camp. Some warriors didn't care too much. How could you know if someone was evil or righteous? It was very difficult to distinguish. Guo continued. Don't think that we can't test you. There are 15 virtual helmets on each of the 5 platforms, which are the same as the ones you use to train. After putting on the helmets, the warriors will enter a virtual environment. You can't even tell that it is an illusion. After putting on the helmets, you will think that you are in a real world. This is virtual technology. The warriors nodded. In fact, the helmets used to train in a virtual environment. Everyone was no stranger to this. Chapter 124. As the 15 martial artists climbed, everyone's attention was focused on the big screen. As the martial artists were spiraling upwards, they were soon out of sight. However, many small flying devices were following them and filming them. They could feed their situation back to the big screen so that the people below could see them. The trunk of the starfruit tree was 2,000 meters tall, and it meandered upwards. The distance was doubled. Every martial artist had to climb 4,000 meters. This height was almost unattainable for ordinary people, but it was not too difficult for these warlords. This was especially true at the beginning. Almost everyone was running all the way up. At the top of the big screen were 5 advanced warlords. In the middle were 5 intermediate warlords, and at the bottom were 5 beginner warlords. The advanced warlords received the most attention. Of these 5 advanced warlords, 1 was from Beijing, 2 were from the south, 1 was from Tianfu, and 1 was from my city. The process of climbing was also a test of a martial artist's physical strength, especially when there were competitors around. No one wanted to be last. Guo had said that taking too long would result in elimination. Therefore, the first 400 meters was the fastest. The 5 advanced warlords were full of energy at this moment. The first 400 meters took less than 5 minutes. Lu Qingfeng, who was from my city, was the first to reach the platform on the first level. A staff member immediately handed him a helmet. Lu Qingfeng took the helmet and sat down. Then, he leaned against a recliner and quickly connected to the virtual environment. The screen flashed a few times and an image appeared. A weak little girl, who was only 11 or 12 years old, was walking alone in an alley in the middle of the night. She was carrying a huge backpack and walking with great difficulty. When she saw Lu Qingfeng, she immediately waved at him. "Uncle, can you come and help me?" Lu Qingfeng was at a loss for a moment. Then he saw the little girl and asked, "What's the matter?" "This is my father's money. I want to bring it home for him, but I can't walk." "Uncle, can you help me carry it?" Lu Qingfeng walked over, and the little girl placed the backpack on the ground. From the opening of the backpack, he could clearly see that it was filled with bundles of thousands of dollars. This backpack was worth tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. No wonder the little girl couldn't carry it. Lu Qingfeng looked left and right. It was late at night. Although he didn't know why he was here, there was only him and this little girl in this secluded alley. Faced with hundreds of millions of dollars, he was tempted. Should I take the money? This little girl doesn't seem to be able to resist. As long as I take the backpack and leave, she won't be able to stop me. The huge amount of money tempted Lu Qingfeng's heart, and he was in a dilemma. He slowly raised his hand, as if he wanted to grab the backpack and the little girl. This made everyone's hearts tighten. Lu Qingfeng's and the Ice City's the virtual world. That is a virtual environment. If you have any bad intentions, you will be eliminated. Bing City cannot afford to be a disgrace. Feng Yu said. Guan Shanhua looked at the person who shouted. It's useless. Even if you shout, he won't hear you. In a virtual world, people will think that it is real. This is a test of one's character. It seems like it's going to be over. Many people lowered their heads, unable to bear watching. Lin Jin squinted his eyes slightly. He knew a little about Lu Qingfeng. When he was in Jiaodong, he was very firm in his principles. He knew his mission was to protect Li Tianhao. That's why he did not do anything when Xiao Tianzhua and Xiao Tianyu were killed. But under Li Tianhao's urging and the temptation of money, he took action. Even after Li Tianhao was killed, he still insisted on killing Lin Jin. This shows that he still has some principles. Although he is not a good person, he is not a bad person. Lin Jin still has some confidence in him. Lu Qingfeng's hand stopped in midair, and he looked at the little girl. "Where's your house?" "It's there." The little girl pointed to a door in front of her. "It's so close. Go back by yourself." After Lu Qingfeng finished speaking, he waved his hand and left the alley. Then, the little girl returned home. He didn't turn back. The scene suddenly ended, and the system gave the score. Lu Qingfeng did not help, but he also did not snatch the backpack. Score 6-2. Pass. The people in Bingsheng heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Qingfeng had managed to hold himself back. Although he did not send the little girl home, it was rare. No one could guarantee that they would not be tempted at that time. The staff took off Lu Qingfeng's helmet, and Lu Qingfeng came to his senses. He looked around and expressionlessly started to climb 800 meters. At this time, the few advanced warlords behind him also started to take the test. However, these people were not bad. 3 of them made the same choice as Lu Qingfeng. One of them hesitated for a while before sending the little girl home. The 5 advanced warlords passed the test successfully, and everyone was relieved. They reckoned that they would be fine even if they went up. The advanced warlords continued to climb, and the intermediate warlords also reached the first platform. The 5 of them started to take the test. Among the intermediate warlords, 2 of them made the same choice as Lu Qingfeng. 2 of them chose to send the little girl home. However, a warrior from Tianfu Bay City actually grabbed the backpack and ran away when the little girl was about to reach her home. The little girl was crying behind him, but he did not hesitate and ran faster and faster. Soon, he disappeared from the alley. The scene ended, and the system gave a score of 3-0. If the score was less than 6, he would be eliminated. There was no doubt that he had been eliminated. Many warriors who were watching burst into laughter, and some people from Tianfu Base even cursed loudly. Damn it! How dare he snatch a little girl's money? This is a disgrace to all the warriors of Tianfu Bay City. We can't forgive this guy even if he is eliminated. We must report his situation back to Tianfu Bay City. We must make sure that he is condemned by the public, homeless, and beaten to death on the streets. However, there were also a lot of people who looked solemn. It seemed that this test wasn't that simple. This proved that the martial artists couldn't distinguish between the real world and the fake world. They would think that they were in the real world. Dark alleys, powerless little girls, huge amounts of money. These objective conditions were simply created to make people commit crimes. Not to mention these bloodthirsty martial artists. Even ordinary people wouldn't be able to help themselves from committing crimes under such circumstances. Therefore, many people did not laugh. Instead, they were worried about their own fate. They did not know if they could really control themselves when the time came. If they failed, it would not be as simple as being eliminated. It would be a stain for the rest of their lives. After the intermediate warlord from Tianfu Base's helmet was taken off, he looked left and right. Suddenly, his face turned ashen. He left in a sorry state and ran down the path he had come from. He wanted to leave the God General Training Camp immediately, but the rules stated that those who were eliminated would be arranged to leave together. He was destined to have a hard time during this period. After the intermediate warlords finished, the beginner warlords also stepped onto the 400-meter platform. After all, their speed was not as fast as that of advanced warlords and intermediate warlords. These people panted as they stepped onto the platform. However, most of them had passed. The last person to step onto the platform was Shinto Hua from Bing City Bay City. Every martial artist who stepped onto the platform had an introduction on the system's big screen. Shinto Hua's introduction was that he was from Bing City Bay City's Zephyr Martial Arts School. He was a first-class warlord, Shinto Hua. Many of the martial artists present were from Zephyr Martial Arts schools in various base cities. For example, Jiang Huai from the group of advanced warlords was from Shanghai's Zephyr Martial Arts School. When they saw someone from Zephyr, many people cheered for Shinhua. Come on, kid. Don't embarrass Zephyr. Little brother from Bing City, I support you. You must pass smoothly. Lin Zhen was also watching from below. Although he did not like Shinhua, as a member of Bing City and Zephyr, he still hoped that Shinhua could pass. At the very least, he had to pass the first round. As a martial artist, you could be a little weak and a little timid. However, if you did not even have the basic concept of good and evil, then you did not deserve to be a martial artist. Just like that Tianfu base's martial artist. His appearance had brought shame to the entire Tianfu base city. Shinhua put on his helmet and the image appeared. In the dark alley, the little girl appeared again and called for Shinhua to come over and help. Shinhua was at a loss for a moment. He looked at the little girl impatiently and said, "Walk on your own. I don't have time to coax a child. Uncle, please help me. My father's money is here. I want to give it back to him," the little girl pleaded softly. "Money? What money? Don't tell me it's your father's pocket money," Shinhua said. However, he still moved slowly and came to the little girl's side. When the little girl opened her backpack, Shinhua's eyes lit up. In the eyes of the people below, his eyes were glowing. It was like a close-up in a movie. It was so clear that it made people shiver. Shinhua smiled and carried the backpack. "Okay, Uncle will give it to you. However, Uncle does not know where your house is. You can lead the way." "Okay, my house is nearby. Follow me, Uncle," the little girl said. She skipped in front and Shinhua followed behind. When the martial artists from Bing City saw this, they heaved a sigh of relief. Shinhua was still a good person, but just as he was approaching the girl's door, Shinhua did something that exceeded everyone's expectations. He secretly took out his sword. Taking advantage of the darkness, he silently stabbed the little girl's back. Chapter 125. Oh my God, this bastard. Shinhua, you bastard. The martial artists from Bingcheng either covered their faces or cursed it out loud. Shinhua's actions were much worse than what the martial artist from Tianfu sect had done. That martial artist was robbing at best, but Shinhua had killed for the sake of robbing. Moreover, he had killed a weak little girl. This action made all the martial artists from Bingcheng gnash their teeth in hatred. At the same time, they felt humiliated. You can't judge a book by its cover. This brat from Bingcheng looks like a human, but I didn't expect him to do such a thing. How'd he get in a live phone? Haha. Boss Jiang Huai, are you still cheering for Liefeng's martial artist this time? Fortunately, I'm not in Bingcheng Bay City. Otherwise, I would be too ashamed to face anyone. Jiang Huai from Shanghai's Liphone Martial Arts School had an ugly expression. He didn't expect the people from Bingcheng Liphone to be so disappointing. This made him feel humiliated, and he regretted cheering for Shinhua just now. The surrounding martial artists discussed animatedly. When their voices reached the ears of the people from Bingcheng, they felt even more humiliated. When Shinhua woke up on the platform, his face was like a chameleon. First, it was red, then white, and finally green. At this moment, this brat really wanted to jump off the platform and end it all. This time, it wasn't just a matter of being eliminated. He could even imagine how angry Dongfang Jun would be when he returned to Liphone, Bay City, and Liphone. If news of this spread, he would have to face the anger of Bingcheng's martial artists if he walked on the streets of Bingcheng. Shinhua braced himself and got off the platform. He didn't dare to return to Bingcheng's team at all. He found a corner far away and squatted there, wishing he could bury his head in the mud. After Shinhua's incident, the status of Bingcheng's martial artist had dropped. The strange gazes of the martial artists from other base cities made them feel extremely uncomfortable. At this moment, they were hoping that Lu Qingfeng and Wu Ming would perform well and turn the tables for them. After a while, Lu Qingfeng and the other high-level warlords finally reached the second platform. Lu Qingfeng was the first. The virtual helmet on the second platform jumped twice, and an image appeared on the screen. Lu Qingfeng's figure appeared on the side of a street. It was as if a world war had just taken place on the streets. Smoke filled the air, and it was a complete mess. Lu Qingfeng walked here and looked left and right. His eyes were a little confused. "Help!" A woman's voice rang out. Lu Qingfeng took 2 quick steps forward and saw that at the corner of the street, several tall Russian martial artists were grabbing a young girl and trying to molest her. The girl was like a weak lamb in the hands of a few big men. Her clothes had been torn to shreds, and she screamed as she ran, exposing her body from time to time. When the Russian warriors saw Lu Qingfeng, they shouted, "Hey, get lost, you yellow pig! War god Chadlov is here. If you dare to meddle in other people's business, I'll tear you to pieces." One of the yellow-haired Russian men was a war god. He looked at Lu Qingfeng with a cruel gaze, as if he would attack if he dared to come forward. The Russian men around them were also advanced warlords. This formation was definitely not easy to deal with. Lu Qingfeng was a 7th-level warlord and a gold-level telekinesis master. It could be said that he had very few opponents among the warlords. However, it was different if he had a war god. There was a fundamental difference between a war god and a warlord. No matter how strong a warlord was, it was difficult to fight against a war god who had transforming strength. It was rare to see someone of a higher-level challenge. Even if Lu Qingfeng was a gold-level telekinesis master, his chances of winning against a war god were very small. Lu Qingfeng's expression changed a few times, and his feet unconsciously moved back. The Russians laughed even louder. One of them tore off the girl's shirt and said, "Did you see that? These are Chinese martial artists. They only know how to bully the weak. When they meet our great Russian warriors, they all turn into soft-footed shrimps. Come on, let me have a taste of this little Chinese beauty." A few big men rushed forward. The girl screamed, but she had no strength to resist. She was about to be humiliated. Lu Qingfeng watched from a distance, clenching his fists. If he turned around and left now, no one would be able to stop him. However, if he tried to be a hero, he might lose his life. This put him in a very difficult position. However, the girl was screaming so miserably. If he really didn't save her, he was afraid that he would never be able to rest in peace. "Forget it. I'll stick my nose into other people's business." Lu Qingfeng first prepared a shuttle-shaped shield under his feet, ready to run at any time. Then, he raised his hand, and 5 flying swords rose into the air, slashing fiercely at a Russian who had his back facing him. His plan was to take them down one by one, which was a safer way to go. The moment Lu Qingfeng made his move, the screen flashed and disappeared. The test was over. The system deducted points for Lu Qingfeng because of his hesitation. However, he still passed the second round. However, many people didn't agree with his action. They felt that he shouldn't have hesitated too much at that moment. If he had acted earlier, the girl wouldn't have been tortured, especially in the capital-based city. Su Mingyue's long hair hung low, and she didn't say anything. However, there were a few female warriors around her who were denouncing Lu Qingfeng. However, the martial artists in Bingsheng were relieved. No matter what, Lu Qingfeng had passed. The setting of this round was actually very smart. The opponents were stronger than the contestants, but they weren't so strong that they couldn't be defeated. This was a test of a martial artist's courage. Martial artists had to have a sense of justice, but they also needed courage. If the opponent was too strong to be defeated, it would be stupid to act rashly. Only in this kind of situation where the odds of winning were not high could a person's true nature be seen. Lu Qingfeng opened his eyes. He was still expressionless as he continued to climb 1,200 meters. After that, the results of several advanced warlords came out. One advanced warlord from the southern city flinched. He didn't have the courage to face a strong opponent. In the end, he chose to ignore it. He was eliminated because he lacked a sense of justice and courage. After that, an intermediate warlord went up the stage. This time, Wu Ming, a martial artist from Changfeng Martial Arts Club in Bingsheng, performed well. He left quietly and quickly turned back, choosing to sneak attack a Russian martial artist. This action gave him extra points. Because he hesitated for a short time, his score reached 8. 5 points, which was the highest score among all the contestants so far. The people in Bingsheng finally heaved a sigh of relief and praised Wu Ming from Changfeng Martial Arts Club. The martial artists from the other bases were also very happy. After that, an intermediate warlord and a beginner warlord were also eliminated. However, there were no more martial artists from Bingsheng among them. This also showed the cruelty of the stairway to heaven. They had just passed the second level, and only 10 people were left out of the 15 who had gone up the stage. The remaining 10 people continued to move forward, but their speed was no longer as fast as before. After all, running up the stairs step by step was the most tiring. At this time, there were 4 advanced warlords, 3 intermediate warlords, and 3 beginner warlords left. At this time, the gap between the strength of the martial artists began to truly manifest. Some people who were physically weak began to fall behind gradually, and some couldn't keep up with the pace of the people in front. As a gold-level spirit reader, Lu Qingfeng fully demonstrated his strength in this situation where everyone was physically weak. He gradually took the lead and left the people behind him far behind. He was the first to reach the platform at 1,200 meters on the 3rd level. This level tested one's willpower. It was said that in order to see the national hero Yan Xie here, all the martial artists stared at the big screen attentively. After Lu Qingfeng went up the stage, the screen flashed, and a misty lake appeared on the screen. On the shore of the lake, a huge aquatic monster lay there. Its body was slender with a long neck, fangs, sharp claws, and wings. It looked a little like a Western dragon. This was an aquatic dragon. The so-called dragon was a reptile that had mutated many times. It was at least an A-level mutated beast, or even an S-level or double SS-level mutated beast. It was one of the top predators among the mutated beasts. A martialist was sitting on top of this dead water dragon, smoking. When Lu Qingfeng appeared, he turned his head to look at Lu Qingfeng. This person was wearing camouflage and a hat. He was handsome, but had a trace of a ruffian aura. When he saw Lu Qingfeng appear, his gaze suddenly became sharp. "Who are you? How dare you peek at me?" "Yan Xie, killing a dragon." Lu Qingfeng was stunned. He didn't expect to see the national hero, Yan Xie. Wasn't he a few hundred years older than him? However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was that Yan Xie seemed to be angry. "Speak. Who sent you here? Do you want to secretly learn my combat techniques?" Yan Xie stood up from the water dragon and stood there with his hands behind his back. His entire body was like a mountain, and people couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Spiritual suppression. He is using spiritual suppression. Many martial artists below were in awe of Yan Xie. They also noticed Yan Xie's actions. He was a spirit reader, and his levels seemed to be very high. On the screen, Lu Qingfeng even had trouble standing. I'm not. Lu Qingfeng didn't know how to answer. You're incoherent. Kneel down and speak." Yan Xie's gaze became even sharper as he spoke. A dense, almost tangible mental force came crashing down from the sky. A dark golden light circulated around his body. Occasionally, there would even be a sliver of multicolored light that would disappear in the blink of an eye. Peak dark gold, a spirit reader close to the diamond level. Lin Zhen's eyes lit up. When Yan Xie had recorded this video, he had only been a pinnacle warlord and hadn't entered the Star Realm. However, his telekinesis had already reached the pinnacle dark gold realm and was even beginning to evolve towards the diamond realm. He's too strong, Lin Zhen thought to himself. Chapter 126. To be honest, Heitu was a little annoyed these few days because there were always a lot of trolls coming over and saying that there were problems with the book. They mainly said that the book imitated and plagiarized Devouring Starry Sky. Let me say something first. When I started writing this book, I discussed it with my editor and listened to his suggestions. I wrote it according to the world structure of Devour. I don't deny this point, and I never thought it was wrong. It's very normal to use the world structure and leveling system as reference. For example, the world structure and system of Xinxia are basically the same, but no one criticized it. Why is that? It's because everyone tacitly agreed to the Xinxia system and felt that it should be written that way. But there are very few people who wrote according to Devouring system. So when it came out, people said that it was similar here and there. Yes, there are some similarities, but it has nothing to do with plagiarism. Those who say plagiarism should first understand the concept of plagiarism before they speak. They don't want to appear too ignorant. Also, the plot of the story is basically different, right? Like some readers said, if I didn't use the terms spirit reader and war god, I wouldn't have so much to say. Today, someone even went to the group to chat with me privately, saying that I wrote the same as devouring. I asked which part of it was the same, and he stuttered for a long time, saying that we were both spirit readers, rich girlfriends, dad was beaten, and we met at his girlfriend's workplace. At that time, I said, how many books have spirit readers and rich girlfriends appeared in? Also, where did they meet at? Why don't I know what kind of work a Ning does? As for dad getting beaten up, this was indeed the same as devour. At that time, there were some things that I didn't consider. But later on, I gradually corrected these things. What did you see that the plot was exactly the same? Did you selectively ignore all the things I wrote that were fundamentally different? I can casually mention dozens of different plots. How can you say it? He ran out of words and retreated. I didn't say much. I don't like to talk. In fact, many of the readers' opinions are very pertinent. I have been accepting and correcting them. In fact, until now, other than a few specific terms, it is no longer related to devouring. But some people are too bad and their words are unpleasant. They don't even subscribe to a single chapter, and yet they keep criticizing. I will kill them without mercy. Kill them. If they come, I will ban them. If they come, I will kill them. As I've said before, this book is written for those who like to read it. For those who don't like to read it, I don't owe you a single cent. You can leave as far as you can. If you leave, you won't have to go to the book review and leave comments about how I'm cheating you. You didn't even spend any money, so why would I cheat you? Fortunately, I still have a lot of readers who support me. Every time I see those readers who donate, subscribe, and vote for me, I feel a little happier. Thank you. Chapter 127. Everyone looked at the big screen and knew that this would be a very difficult test. Yan Xie, who was at the peak of the warlord realm, was definitely at the top of the human race. During his time, he was probably the strongest before the star realm was born. Such a person was also a spirit reader. When he exerted spiritual pressure on you, it was almost impossible to resist. This level tested one's willpower. It depended on how long one could persist under Yan Xie's spiritual pressure. The longer one persisted, the higher their score would be. Lu Qingfeng had persisted for 30 seconds since the start. A martial artist couldn't help but ask Guan Shanyue, "Instructor, how long do we have to persist to pass this level?" Guan Shanyue said, "When I passed this level, I persisted for 40 seconds. Lu Qingfeng is about to succeed. 40 seconds? I don't know if I can persist." As they spoke, 50 seconds passed. Yan Xie's eyes suddenly became sharp again, and the dark golden light shone brightly. Lu Qingfeng finally couldn't resist and knelt down. The screen disappeared, and Lu Qingfeng's score appeared. 7-5. Pass. Bingqing's martial artists applauded thunderously. This level was definitely not easy to pass. It was enough to test a martial artist's willpower. Lu Qingfeng was considered very good. Lu Qingfeng took off his helmet. His expression changed, but his emotions didn't fluctuate much. He continued to climb to the next level. After that, the martial artists began to arrive one after another. Another 2 advanced warlords barely passed, but the last advanced warlord lasted for less than 30 seconds before kneeling down. He failed and was eliminated. When it came to the intermediate warlords, although the screen was still the same, Yan Xie's spiritual pressure seemed to have weakened a little. In the end, John Doe and another intermediate warlord from Bingqing barely passed, and another person was eliminated. It was the same for the beginner warlords. Only 2 people passed, and one of them didn't even persist for 15 seconds. It was a very ugly failure. 15 people were trying to pass the level. After 3 levels, only 7 people were left. The elimination rate was too high. When it came to the 4th level, everyone was very tired. This fatigue was even brought into the virtual environment. The 4th level screen shocked the martial artists even more, because this level was actually a mutant beast attacking the city. Lu Qingfeng's image showed Bing's city-based city. The flames of war were raging on the battlefield, and bullets were raining down. The army could not hold on any longer, and almost all the martial artists were on the front line. Their mission was to kill the high-level mutant beasts. Lu Qingfeng was a high-level warlord and a spirit reader, so he was part of the main force. Facing the tide of mutant beasts, Lu Qingfeng did not have time to think. He threw himself into the battle without hesitation. This stage took a longer time, with each round taking 10 minutes. Lu Qingfeng killed 7 rank C mutant beasts and 3 rank B mutant beasts, obtaining a score of 7-8. He had successfully passed the stage. However, in this round, another advanced warlord was eliminated. 2 people in the intermediate warlord group had passed, and only 1 person was left in the beginner warlord group. The 4 of them began to climb the last level. The situation of the last level would not be shown. It was said that would uncover the deepest fear in one's heart and test one's choice at that time. In this round, the advanced warlord was eliminated again. The last person to pass was Lu Qingfeng. Wu Ming from Bing City Bay City passed the intermediate warlord group. Bai Chuan, a beginner warlord from the southern Bay City, passed the beginner group. At the end of the assessment, a temporary ranking appeared on the big screen. Lu Qingfeng was temporarily ranked first in the advanced warlord group. Wu Ming was first in the intermediate warlord group, and Bai Chuan was first in the beginner warlord group. The people from Bing City and the southern Bay City cheered loudly. Regardless of whether the last 2 people would be surpassed, at least they had temporarily taken the first place. According to the leaders, as long as one was on the list, there was a high chance of getting a ranking. Therefore, being on the list meant that one had accumulated a lot of points. Lu Qingfeng happily returned to the crowd in Bing City Bay City and accepted the cheers. Lin Jun also said to him, "Well done." Lu Qingfeng glanced at Lin Jun and did not say anything. However, the murderous intent in his eyes was not as strong as before. Obviously, his heart had changed. Wu Ming also returned to the crowd. To be precise, his result was not particularly outstanding, but it was good enough that he could pass the assessment. Bing City Bay City had taken first place twice. Guan Shanyue was beaming with joy. He was in a very good mood. The 1st to 15th places finished, and the 16th and 13th places appeared. This time, there were a few people who attracted more attention. However, they were not in the advanced warlord group. They were in the intermediate warlord group, and 2 of them were relatively strong. In the beginner group, Zhang Yu from Bing City appeared. After a round of assessment, the advanced group was completely defeated. Only 1 person from the intermediate group passed, but his score was lower than Wu Ming's. He was ranked 2nd. 2 people from the beginner group passed this time. One was from Tianfu sect, and the other was Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu's score was the highest. Not only did he surpass the martial artist from Tianfu sect, but he also surpassed Bai Chuan, who had challenged him for the first time. He was ranked 1st in the beginner group. Zhang Yu came back and said to Lin Jun, "Idol, you said that you will appear in the last group. Does that mean I have a chance to be ranked 1st all the time? In the end, you will be 1st and I will be 2nd. The 2 of us will take the first 2 places in the beginner group." Lin Jun patted him on the shoulder. "I think it's a good idea." Ha ha ha. Zhang Yu laughed. Bing City was now in the limelight. Lu Qingfeng was ranked 1st in the advanced group. Wu Ming was ranked 1st in the intermediate group, and Zhang Yu was ranked 1st in the beginner group. All the first places on the 3 lists were from Bing City. This made the martial artists of Bing City proud. The depression caused by Ishintu Hua disappeared without a trace. On the other hand, the warriors from the other Bay cities were not happy. Bing City Bay City had always been at the bottom of the pack. How did it become so popular this year? Bing City Bay City had won 3 first places. How could the warriors from the other Bay cities be so embarrassed? These martial artists were all rubbing their hands together, ready to get good results in the next assessment. In the 3rd round, an expert from the advanced group finally appeared. It was Huang Yinglai from Tianfu Bay City. This person was indeed extraordinary. As soon as he appeared, he took first place and took away Lu Qingfeng's first place. It was also from this round onwards that the first place of each group began to change like a revolving lantern. Nameless and Zhang Yu's rankings fell all the way until the end of the 6th round. Both of them actually fell out of the top 3. After that, very few martial artists from Bing City performed well. Among them, Lei Ming from the Dragon Slaying Martial Arts Club was eliminated in the 3rd round. Although Han Fengju from the Changfeng Martial Arts Club passed, he did not get a good ranking. He only ranked 4th in the intermediate group, only slightly better than Wu Ming. In the 8th round, Song Tianming, an advanced warlord from the southern Bay City, appeared. He defeated Huang Yinglai from Tianfu Bay City and became the first in the advanced warlord group. Lu Qingfeng was pushed down to 3rd place. In the 9th round, Zhou Xiangbei from the capital Bay City appeared. He defeated Song Tianming again and became the first in the advanced group. This time, the people from the capital Bay City were elated. They even began to mock the other base cities unscrupulously, almost causing a fight. As for Lu Qifeng, he fell from 3rd place to 4th place. The entire Bing City Bay City had no one in the top 3. This also made the people of Bing City experience what it meant to fall from heaven to hell. Just a moment ago, they had been enjoying the glory of being the first on the 3 lists. Now, they could not find anyone in the top 3. This was a great loss. When it came to the 10th round, 2 superstar-level figures appeared on stage. These 2 people were Tang Yu from the Sophia Church in Bing City Bay City and Sui Changlong from the Northwest Military Martial Arts Club. The appearance of these 2 people caused a burst of cheers from the martial artists in the Bay City. Tang Yu was already the leader of Bing City Bay City. He was the biggest hope of Bing City Bay City this time. Everyone hoped that he could turn the tide and achieve a good result. It would be best if he could become the first in the advanced warlord group and make Bing City proud. Sui Changlong from the Northwest Military Martial Arts Club was a tough man. He was very famous in the Northwest. He was even close to the #1 warlord in the military, Li Changjing. As soon as he appeared, the martial artists in the Northwest Military Martial Arts Club cheered in unison. Tang Yu appeared casually, but he took a detour and went to the capital Bay City. When he stood in front of a woman in white in the capital Bay City, everyone's eyes were focused on him. Tang Yu was a handsome man, and the woman in white was as beautiful as a fairy. She was the goddess Su Mingyue, who was the most popular among the freshmen. Tang Yu stood in front of Su Mingyue with a spring-like smile on his face. The surrounding female martial artists were all dazzled by him. Mingyue, long time no see. Tang Yu spoke. His voice was magnetic and charming. Su Mingyue raised her head, revealing a clean face. She slowly said, "It has indeed been a long time." Both of them were disciples of the divine sect. They had met once when they were young, but that was 10 years ago. "We've both grown up. Before I came to the divine general training camp, I thought I might see you again. I didn't expect the heavens to fulfill my wish. The true God has blessed me and allowed me to see you again. The true God has blessed me." Su Mingyue had a faint smile on her face. That smile was hard to decipher. It seemed like she was smiling, but it also didn't seem like she was smiling. Tang Yu spoke again. "Actually, I hope that you'll appear first, and then I'll chase after you." Wow. The female martial artists around let out a cry. Tang Yu's words seemed to have a double meaning. Su Mingyue was stunned for a moment, then asked, "What do you mean?" Hee. "Mingyue, don't think too much. I know you're very strong. You just want to experience the joy of chasing after someone. Mingyue, watch my performance, and do your best." Su Mingyue spoke, encouraging him. Tang Yu turned and left gracefully. His every move was perfect. He was simply a dragon among men. In the distance, some martial artists in the Ice City Base City shouted, "Otherworldly strangers like Jade, 10-Mile Springwind is inferior to you." Tang Yu. Zhang Yu didn't participate in the cheering. Instead, he frowned at Tang Yu's actions. He said to Lin Zhang beside him, "Idol, the more I look at this kid, the more I feel like he's fake. But his appearance is indeed outstanding. Do you think Su Mingyue will fall for him?" Chapter 128. Tang Yu's high-profile entrance attracted the attention of countless people. The few people who didn't pay much attention to the competition also became alert. For example, Su Mingyue, Li Changjing, and Jiang Huai. In their eyes, Tang Yu was on the same level as them and was an opponent worthy of attention. The process of the assessment also proved this point. In the first round, Tang Yu smiled and helped the little girl carry her backpack back to her home. He even took the initiative to knock on the door and ask her family to come out and pick her up. When he left, the little girl even kissed him. He passed with a score of 9-0, which was the highest score so far. In the second round, Tang Yu first tried to persuade the war god level Russian fighter. However, the Russian fighter obviously didn't give him face and continued to humiliate the girl. In the end, Tang Yu finally made his move. This process made some fighters feel that Tang Yu was dragging his feet. If he made his move earlier, the girl wouldn't be humiliated. However, Tang Yu was still calm and didn't care. In this round, Tang Yu obtained 8 points, which was considered a good result. Most importantly, he didn't show any fear when facing the war god level Russian fighter. In the third round, Tang Yu didn't show much excitement when facing Yin Xie. Facing Yin Xie's spiritual pressure, he was much calmer than the average fighter. When Yin Xie asked him to kneel, Tang Yu said, "I'm a believer of God. I believe in the starry sky, true God. You, Yin Xie, are a national hero, and I respect you. However, I can't kneel to you because you're not worthy of being compared to God." Tang Yu's words caused many girls present to scream, exclaiming that Tang Yu was too handsome. Even Su Mingyue's beautiful eyes were rippling with extraordinary splendor, clearly moved by Tang Yu's words. Tang Yu held on for 1 minute and 30 seconds. When Yin Xie increased the spiritual pressure for the third time, he finally couldn't hold on anymore. However, he didn't kneel, but fell on his back. The image disappeared, and Tang Yu obtained another high score of 5 points. After 3 rounds, Tang Yu obtained 26 points. As long as he could pass the 5th round, he would definitely obtain a very high score. At the 4th stage, Tang Yu displayed his prowess, killing 7 B-grade mutant beasts and 23 C-grade mutant beasts within 10 minutes, gaining another 5 points. Tang Yu didn't pass the last test very smoothly, but she still passed in the end and got a passing score of 6 points. After passing all 5 stages, Tang Yu obtained a rare high score of 41 points, leaping to first place on the scoreboard, a full 5 points ahead of Zhou Xiangbei in second place. Everyone in Bing City cheered. They had been suppressed for so long, and Tang Yu had brought glory to Bing City. No one should be able to break this record. But before the cheering from Bing City's side ended, the Northwest side cheered even louder. Their man, Sui Chonglong, had also passed 5 rounds and got a total of 42 points. Everyone had been paying attention to Tang Yu's performance and had even neglected Sui Chonglong. Although the difficulty of the primary assessment was not as high as the advanced assessment, there were still differences in the strength of the fighters. It could be said that the assessment was fair. Sui Chonglong's performance proved that his potential exceeded Tang Yu's. The Northwest side's performance was astonishing. As soon as Sui Chonglong appeared, he immediately took first place and left the second place far behind. No matter how one looked at it, this result didn't look like it could be caught up. Tang Yu returned to the team and was welcomed like a celebrity. Only Lin Zhun and Zhang Yu sat aside and didn't go over to talk. Even though Tang Yu's performance was calm, Lin Zhun could still tell that he had just gotten 41 points to get first place in the advanced stage and 42 points for the beginner stage. This resounding slap to his face made his heart flutter. It was definitely not the state he was showing. Everyone was paying attention to the scores of each base city. After the 12th round, the Northwest Military Academy started to show their strength. Many fighters started to appear on the rankings. Among them, the Northwest Military Academy had taken the first place of the Intermediate Warlord ranking. Currently, the Northwest Military Academy had 2 first places on the rankings. The trainees sat together, and the leaders of each base city also gathered together to chat. Among them, the warlord Shi Sheng, who was the leader of the Northwest Military Academy, coughed and said to Guan Shangyue, "Haha, old Guan, you must be depressed to be in charge of Bing City." Guan Shangyue looked indifferent. "What's there to be depressed about? Just tell me if you're upset. You're from Bing City Base City. This is your hometown. If you don't take responsibility, who will?" Shi Sheng said with a fake smile. "Is there a problem with me being in charge of my hometown? Of course there's no problem. It's just that your hometown is not very good. It has been in last place for 3 consecutive rounds. I think this round will be tough. Of course, it's not your fault. It's the fault of these guys." Shi Sheng said, feeling very happy. He and Guan Shangyue were trainees in the same year. At that time, Guan Shanyue's score was higher than his, and he had been unhappy about it. Now, he finally found a chance to ridicule Guan Shangyue. Sure, Sheng, it's a bit early for you to say this. Our Bing City is still in first place among the advanced warlords. Haha, it's temporary. You won't be in first place soon because our Li Changjing is going to appear. Guan Shangyue looked at the big screen. Sure enough, the 13th round had begun. This time, the star character was Li Changjing, a level 9 warlord from the Northwest Military Academy. Li Changjing was more than 9 meters tall. His resolute face was angular, and he had an imposing manner. After he appeared, he immediately caused a burst of cheers from the Northwest Military Academy. After the start, Li Changjing instantly rushed out like a cannonball, leaving the other advanced warlords behind in an instant. Running fast may not be enough to pass, Guan Shangyue said disdainfully. Just wait and see. You'll be surprised soon. Shi Sheng was very confident. In this round, almost all the warriors were paying attention to Li Changjing's situation because he was also a strong contender for first place. The person who was most likely to win the Advanced Warlord Championship was Jiang Huai, followed by Li Changjing, Su Mingyue, Tang Yu, and the others. Li Changjing was born with great strength and speed. No one dared to underestimate his strength. Li Changjing ran all the way without slowing down. He was almost a third ahead of the others and reached the first platform. After putting on the helmet, the screen of the first round appeared. A little girl appeared and greeted Li Changjing. Li Changjing slowly walked over and lowered his head to look at the little girl. There was no smile on his cold face. Instead, he asked, "Where is your home?" The little girl pointed to the door. Without saying a word, Li Changjing carried the little girl and her backpack and strode to the front of her house. He pushed the door open with one hand, put the little girl and her backpack in the yard, and closed the door with one hand. The whole process did not take more than 20 seconds. Pass 9. 5 points. This result shocked all the warriors, including Lin Jun. This guy doesn't drag his feet at all. He's quite a character. Li Changjing finished the first round quickly. After taking off the helmet, he immediately started running towards the second level like a wild horse. His speed was extremely shocking. When he reached the second level, the beginner warlord team had just reached the first level. However, no one was looking at the beginner and intermediate teams anymore. Everyone's attention was on Li Changjing. After he reached the second round, he immediately put on the helmet and entered the virtual world. In the second round, a few Russian warriors were humiliating women. After seeing this, Li Changjing's eyes turned red. Without saying a word, he raised his hand and a cavalry spear appeared in his hand. He raised the spear and charged over. The screen ended. Li Changjing scored 10 points in the second round. If 5 points was the highest score in the entire round, it could still be broken. However, he actually got full marks in the second round. This was a record that could not be broken. 2 rounds. In just 2 rounds, he got full marks. Who could compare to him? Moreover, Li Changjing's performance wasn't over yet. After the second round, he ran all the way to the third round. In this round, Li Changjing actually held on for a full 2 minutes against the national hero, Yan Xie. After 2 minutes, Li Changjing finally couldn't hold on any longer. However, he actually tried to stick the spear into the ground and hug the spear shaft. However, under Yan Xie's pressure, he couldn't do this. In the end, blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Before he collapsed, the screen ended. Everyone knew that Li Changjing might not be able to hold on for even a second. However, his willpower was extremely shocking. This was the spirit of never giving up. Past 9 points. Li Changjing woke up from the virtual world. Without saying a word, he ran all the way to the 4th level. Even now, his speed didn't slow down much. His physical strength was extremely shocking. In the 4th round, the mutated beasts attacked the city. Everyone also witnessed Li Changjing's combat strength. In 10 minutes, he killed 1A rank mutated beast, 3B rank mutated beasts, and 8C rank mutated beasts. At the end of the battle, Li Changjing scored 9 points in the 4th round. To be able to kill an A rank mutated beast, this was a feat only achieved by Jiang Huai. Now that Li Changjing also did this, everyone was stunned. At this time, Tang Yu closed his eyes slightly. No one knew what he was thinking. He took first place in the advanced warlord group. Originally, it was quite glorious. However, there was immediately a beginner warlord who scored higher than him, making him lose face. Now, there was another Li Changjing from the Northwest Army who broke his record. Even if he believed in God and had a noble character, he would still be unhappy at this moment. Li Changjing encountered a little trouble in the last round. He passed and got 5 points, surpassing Tang Yu. At this point, Li Changjing's score came out. 45 points. In this kind of 50-point competition, he was actually 4 points ahead of the second-place Tang Yu. He was only 5 points away from the full score. This result was definitely among the best among all the warlords who had participated in the competition. Sure enough, as Shi Sheng said, Tang Yu's temporary first place became second place. Chapter 129. After Li Changjing's test ended, no one was able to surpass him in the next few rounds. He held the first place in the advanced group. The first place in the intermediate warlord group was also a member of the Northwest Military Academy, Gong Sunwei. Sui Changlong held the first place in the beginner group. The Northwest Military Academy's sudden rise to the top of the 3 leaderboards caught everyone's attention. In the 16th round, a superstar finally appeared. It was Jiang Huai from Shanghai. Jiang Huai had always been regarded as the #1 warlord since he had single-handedly killed an A-class mutant beast. But at this time, people began to doubt whether he could surpass Li Changjing's score. In the first round, Jiang Huai's speed wasn't slow. He got 9 points for sending the little girl back. But in the second round, his speed wasn't as fast as Li Changjing's, and he still got 5 points. It could be seen that Jiang Huai was a rational person. He had analyzed the terrain and the situation of both sides before making a move. In the third round, Jiang Huai's performance was also good. He got 9 points, but he still couldn't surpass Li Changjing. In the fourth round, Jiang Huai showed his strength. He really killed an A-class mutant beast during the siege and got 9 points like Li Changjing. It was too difficult to get a full score in this round. In the fifth round, Jiang Huai got 8 points, which was considered a very high score. But in the end, the total score was 0. 5 points behind Li Changjing, and he could only settle for second place. Li Changjing's first place was still firm. His victory over the #1 warlord made him even more famous. After that, a lot of masters emerged from the various base cities. But the first place of the 3 groups was still unshakable. After 19 rounds, there was only 1 round left to go. The Northwestern military still held the 3 first-place spots. The 3 shining names made the audience speechless. In the capital city, Su Mingwei appeared. She was in the last round. Mingwei, it's up to you. Mingwei, our capital city has always been #1 every year. This year, it's up to you to beat the Northwest Military Academy. Su Mingwei nodded slightly. Dressed in a snow-white robe, she was as beautiful as a fairy. She slowly walked under the tree. Lin Jun also walked under the tree. He was number 298 and was also in the last round. When he left the Bingcheng team, everyone looked at him, including Lu Qingfeng, Lei Ming, Han Fengju, Wu Ming, and the others. These people who had bad blood with Lin Jun in the past had let go of those things. At this moment, they all hoped that Lin Jun could get a good result. However, Sui Changlong got 42 points, and he was still leading the junior group. Could Lin surpass him? Everyone gathered under the stellar fruit tree. Once Guomo gave the order to start, Lin Jun dashed out like an arrow. Although Lin Jun was a level 3 warlord, this referred to his Dantian Qi. In fact, his strength and speed far exceeded the limits of a level 3 warlord. He wasn't inferior to a level 6 warlord at all. As soon as he activated his Dantian Qi, he immediately left the people around him in the dust. Look, to Lin Jun, he's indeed very fast. Is he still in the junior group? I hope he is not one of those soaring cannon types. Otherwise, he will run out of energy after running for a while. The path built on the bark of the Bingqing star tree was 5 meters wide. Lin Jun ran all the way. He felt the wind blowing past his ears as he followed the path. 5 minutes later, he arrived at the platform on the first level. A staff member handed him a helmet. Lin Jun put it on and sat down. Just as he was about to start, he smelled a fragrance beside him. He tilted his head slightly and saw a beautiful face. It was Su Mingwe. Su Mingwe also saw Lin Jun. She had left the rest of the advanced group behind. She did not expect to meet Lin Jun on the platform. She was a little surprised, but she still nodded politely and put on her helmet. Lin Jun did the same. He did not expect a girl like Su Mingwe to run so fast. Out of respect for Su Mingwe in his previous life, he also nodded and put on his helmet. His vision turned black. Then, light flashed and time changed. The next moment, he appeared in an alley. He had forgotten about the Stairway to Heaven competition. He was wondering why he was here. "Uncle, can you give me a hand?" A girl's clear voice sounded. Lin Jun turned around and saw a girl walking over with a bag on her back. The bag looked very heavy, as if it could fall off at any time. Lin Jun strode over and took the bag. He looked down and saw that it was full of money. Lin Jun frowned slightly. "Little girl, why do you have so much money?" "This is my father's money. I want to send it back to him. Can you send it to my house for me?" Seeing the sweat on the little girl's snow-white forehead, Lin Jun's heart softened. In his previous life, he had spent the rest of his life alone. He had also thought about getting married and having a beautiful and cute daughter. The little girl in front of him seemed to overlap with that image. Lin Jun lowered his head and gently carried the little girl. "Let's go. Uncle will send you home." Lin Jun walked to the door of the girl's house and sent her in. His vision blurred. When he opened his eyes again, he saw that the staff had already taken off their helmets. "Lin Jun, you have passed the first level. You have scored 10 points. Lin Jun realized that he was still in the competition. He did not care about anything else and immediately continued to climb to the second level. He was at a high place, so he did not know what was happening below. The people below were already in an uproar. Almost at the same time as Lin Jun, Su Mingwe from Beijing headquarters city also got 10 points. To get full marks in this level, other than not being tempted by money, one must also have compassion. This was because the little girl was already very tired. Not only must the contestants carry the backpack, but they must also carry the little girl and walk together with her. This was the only way to get full marks. Lin Jun and Su Mingwe had both achieved this. After taking off their helmets, Su Mingwe looked at Lin Jun in surprise. She then turned around and left. Lin Jun also immediately went to his own tunnel. "Idol, good job. Su Mingwe is the best. Wow, 2 full marks. This is the first time I have seen 2 full marks in the first level. 2 full marks at the same time. This is amazing. I'm not surprised that Su Mingwe got full marks. But who is that kid from Bing City? How is his speed so fast? He is almost on par with those from the advanced level. Yeah, why haven't I heard of this person before?" Lin Jun was completely unaware of the situation below. He continued to run to the second level. When he reached the platform, he did not expect to meet Su Mingwe again. This time, the two of them didn't speak. Lin Jun saw Su Mingwe's beautiful lips gently pursing. It was obvious that she wasn't convinced that a beginner warlord could be on par with her. There was already a hint of comparison. In the second level, the Russian was regulating a Chinese girl. However, the strongest person in Lin Jun's team was a peak advanced warlord. After all, Lin Jun was only a beginner warlord. There would not be any warlord-level powerhouses. When the Russian saw Lin Jun, he sneered. "Hey, Chinese yellow pig, get away from me, or I will swoosh." 5 cold lights cut through the air and went straight to the throats of the 5 Russian martial artists. Lin Jun made a move. He was the first one to make a move. If it was in his previous life, Lin Jun might have hesitated or even retreated. However, after his rebirth, his heart was so strong that he was fearless. When he saw this kind of situation, he did not hesitate to make a move. Moreover, he made a move with 5 throwing knives. The image disappeared, and Lin Jun woke up again. He realized that he was still in the competition. At the same time, Su Mingwe also took off her helmet. Su Mingwe passes the test. Score, 10 points. Lin Jun passes the test. Score, 10 points. It was understandable that Su Mingwe got full marks because she was a girl. When she saw a girl being humiliated, she would definitely feel the same way. Previously, there were also girls who had passed this level. Almost all of them got full marks immediately. Therefore, this was expected. However, when Lin Jun got full marks again, it surprised everyone. This kid is not bad. He is quite bold. He dared to attack immediately. It means that he is very confident in his own strength. Look at the way he attacked. He is a spirit reader. What is his name? Didn't you see the screen? His name is Lin Jun. With 2 full marks in a row, Lin Jun finally showed his face in front of all the martial artists. It also made people remember this junior warlord from Bing City. On the instructor's side, Guan Shangyue said to Shi Sheng from the northwest, "Instructor Shi, the situation doesn't look good. 2 of your 3 first places are not guaranteed." Shi Sheng did not panic. It is still too early to say. The first and second levels do not test one's true strength. If one's absolute strength is not enough, he will definitely be eliminated in the 3rd and 4th levels. That is the real test. Then let's wait and see. I believe Lin Jun will get first place. Although Guan Shangyue did not know how strong Lin Jun was, he was not willing to admit defeat at this moment. Lin Jun continued to run wildly and finally arrived at the 3rd level. As expected, he collided with Su Mingyue again. Originally, Lin Jun did not expect Su Mingyue to talk to him. However, at this moment, Su Mingyue actually spoke to him. She had a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes. She was the type that would not scare people no matter how angry she was. At this moment, her small face was slightly red. Her peach blossom eyes contained anger, but they were watery. She said to Lin Jun, "Let's see who is better in this level." Her voice was sweet and soft, which made Lin Jun stunned. Without waiting for a reply, Su Mingyue had already put on her helmet. "Phew, I am about to face Yin Qiye. I am looking forward to this moment." "Yin Qiye, have you lived for hundreds of years? Are you watching this test right now?" Lin Jun also put on his helmet and entered the illusion. After entering the illusion, one would immediately forget about reality. Lin Jun was no exception. He saw Yin Qiye sitting on the back of a water dragon by the lake, smoking. "Who are you? Why are you secretly watching me kill a dragon?" Yin Qiye stood up. Lin Jun saw Yin Qiye, and his eyes suddenly lit up. "You are Yin Qiye? Why are you so young?" Yin Qiye did not answer Lin Jun's question. Instead, he stood up. "Speak. Who sent you here? Are you here to secretly learn my cultivation technique? Kneel down and speak." Chapter 130. Lin Jun suddenly felt as if there was an invisible mountain on his shoulder. Instinctively, he used his mind power to resist. In order to resist the pressure of mind power, apart from one's own willpower, only a telekinesis master could resist. However, before Lin Jun, many telekinesis masters had tested it. None of them had dared to resist because they had all been intimidated by Yin Qiye's reputation. However, Yin Qiye's reputation was of no use to Lin Jun. Lin Jun had lived in the interstellar for many years and had seen many big shots. Of course, he was not afraid of Yin Qiye, so he chose to resist without hesitation. A gold and silver aura appeared on the surface of Lin Jun's body, resisting the incoming mind power. This scene was unbelievable in the eyes of others. In the eyes of the Chinese, Yin Qiye was a godlike existence. He was more of a spiritual symbol. Lin Jun's actions were equivalent to fighting against a god. F***CK. This kid is too ruthless. He actually dares to use mind power to resist Yin Qiye. Unbelievable. How can there be such a rebellious guy? Doesn't he know how to respect a national hero? This is really a case of a newborn calf not being afraid of tiger. A beginner warlord is indeed a reckless guy. I'm sure that this brat is a restless person deep down. Seeing that Lin Jun had actually used mind power to resist Lin Jun, everyone was talking about all kinds of things. However, at this time, they saw that Su Mingyue was also doing the same thing as Lin Jun. Su Mingyue was the holy maiden of the divine sect. She believed in the starry sky true God and was extremely devout. Otherwise, she would not have become the holy maiden. Of course, she would not choose to kneel before Yin Qiye. This was determined by her beliefs. Moreover, she was also a telekinesis master. The strength of her mind power was even higher than Lin Jun's. The gold and silver aura around her was obviously more golden. She was actually a telekinesis master at the later stage of gold. The two of them were simultaneously resisting Yin Qi's mind power. Both of them were golden telekinesis masters. This scene stunned everyone. Chief Instructor Guo kept nodding. Not bad, not bad. Finally, such a person had appeared in this year's competition. Only those who dared to face powerful opponents had the possibility of reaching the peak. As the saintess of the divine sect, Su Mingwei daring to go against Yin Qie was within my expectations. However, this Lin Jun was also able to do the same. Old Guan, your Bingqing city truly has some talents. You actually planned to ambush me without telling me beforehand. Guan Shanyue smiled awkwardly. He didn't know about Lin Jun before, so he could only brace himself for now. Lin Jun was also having a hard time resisting Yin Qie. That mental pressure was everywhere. Lin Jun had to muster all of his mental power to resist, and he felt that he would be crushed by Yin Qie at any moment. He could even feel his legs trembling, and the muscles and bones all over his body were crying out in pain. That was a sign that he could not hold on any longer. No, I can't fall. I definitely can't fall. After my rebirth, I swore that I would not be stepped on by anyone, not even a god, let alone Yin Qie. After a minute, Yin Qie's mental pressure increased again, and Lin Jun found it even harder to resist. On the other side, Su Mingyue's condition wasn't any better. Her entire body was drenched in sweat that wrapped around her exquisite body. Her eyes were tightly shut, her lips were pursed, and her beautiful face was pale. After 2 minutes, Yin Qie's mental pressure increased again. On the screen, the two people's legs went soft, and they couldn't help but fall to one knee. However, at the same time, they supported themselves with their hands. Come on, Mingyue, don't lose to that kid. Lin Jun, hang in there. You can't lose to a girl. The people from the capital Bay City and Bingqing Bay City shouted at the same time, cheering for their own people. Even Li Changjing and Zhang Huai could only hold on for 2 minutes. Now, Lin Jun and Su Mingyue's score had surpassed theirs. However, this was their limit. As Yin Qie's mental pressure increased, they could not hold on any longer. After 2 minutes and 18 seconds, Su Mingyue suddenly opened her eyes, and her mental power dissipated. She could not hold on any longer, but her body leaned back. She would rather die than kneel. Lin Jun could not hold on any longer at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. After all, Yin Qie's mental pressure was too terrifying. However, he did something unexpected. He took out a bright silver spear from his spatial ring, raised it, and made a lunging motion, aiming for Yin Qie's throat. Although he was pressed down by the powerful spiritual pressure before he could complete this action, Lin Jun's action shocked everyone so much that they couldn't close their mouths. The screen disappeared, and the two people passed at the same time. Su Mingyue's score was 5 points, and Lin Jun's score was 10 points. In the third round, Lin Jun finally surpassed Su Mingyue's score in the third round. He got full marks for 3 rounds in a row. It turned out that in order to obtain a perfect score, one must not only have an unyielding heart, but also have the determination to defeat everything. Even if the opponent was Yin Qie, even if he was the #1 expert in the world, one must still have the courage to fight. Draw your sword, draw your spear. No matter who your opponent is, give him a blow first so that he will not dare to underestimate you. This was the most important spirit of a warrior. Lin Jun did it. When he was faced with an invincible opponent, he chose to fight. That was why he got full marks again. For example, Su Mingyue, Zhang Huai, and Li Changjing. Although they did not surrender when facing Yin Qie, they never thought of fighting with him. This was because the concept of an invincible expert had long been ingrained in their bones. Since they were not a match for him, why should they seek humiliation? Lin Jun was different. After his rebirth, he did not fear anyone. This was something they could not compare to, so he got full marks. Su Mingyue looked at Lin Jun's score and was silent for a moment. Then, she said indifferently, "You are very strong. I will remember you. But in the end, I will not lose to you. Then you should pray for the blessings of your true God." Lin Jun replied indifferently. There was no respect for the gods in his words. This made Su Mingyue's face turn cold. However, Lin Jun did not say a second word. He immediately got up and went straight to the next floor. After meeting Su Mingyue a few times, he didn't want this girl to walk down the same path as she did in her previous life. He should find a chance to tell her about the gods, but it was obviously not the right time now. He had to give her a heads up first. But others did not know the situation. They were shocked by Lin Jun's full marks again. I guess this kid's head must have a screw loose. He doesn't know what fear is, right? Stupid and bold. Bingqing's stupid and bold. It is talking about him. He even dared to fight with Yan Xie. Isn't he a bit of tiger? Not a tiger. Maybe he is a legendary ghoul. This kid has a bad temper. Be careful when you meet him in the future. Even Guillermo was shocked. He pondered for a moment before saying, "This is the first time I've seen something like this since I became the head instructor. There have only been 3 people in the history of the Divine General Training Camp who dared to attack Yan Xie. Lin Jun is the 3rd. There is such a person? Who are the first 2? Guan Shanyu asked. One of them was a long time ago. At that time, Yan Xie was not so famous. He was almost the same age as Yan Xie, so he was not so afraid. What about the second one? Shi Sheng could not help but ask. The second one is Yang Fenglai, now the world's first master, the founder of Lai Feng Martial Arts School. Guomo's words made these instructors silent. One was the same age as Yan Xie. There was no reference. The other one was the world's first master. Then what about Lin Jun? What kind of achievements will Lin Jun have in the future? After a while, Shi Sheng said, "Let's look at the 4th level. The 4th level is to test the real strength. At that time, we will know whether he is real or not." Lin Jun's points temporarily surpassed Su Mingyue. The competition between the two had been formed. They went to the 4th level almost at the same time. As for the results of the other warriors, no one cared. At the 1/600 mark of the 4th level, Lin Jun and Su Mingyue arrived at the same time. Lin Jun put on his helmet. The scene of Bing City being attacked by mutant beasts appeared in front of him. Lin Jun, as a warrior of Lai Feng Martial Arts School, was arranged to be at the front line. He did not hesitate to pick up his silver spear and fight. Lin Jun was well aware of his own strength. He still couldn't kill a Grade A mutated beast, but it wouldn't be too difficult for him to kill a Grade B mutated beast. Together with a group of warriors, Lin Jun charged into the group of mutated beasts. Lin Jun's spear flew up and down, and 5 flying daggers flashed across from time to time. One mutated beast after another fell at his feet. His familiarity with mutant beasts was unmatched by others. His killing efficiency was naturally high. In 10 minutes, he killed a total of 9 Class B mutant beasts and 26 Class C mutant beasts. This efficiency was even higher than Tang Yu's. This did not mean that Tang Yu's strength was not as good as Lin Jun's. His strength was definitely above Lin Jun's, but his combat experience was far inferior to Lin Jun's, who had lived for thousands of years and was reborn. At the end of the battle, Lin Jun got a high score of 9. 5 points. This was the first time he did not get a full score. Su Mingyue also got 9. 5 points. She even killed a Class A mutant beast. However, because she was an advanced warlord, the requirements were higher, so she did not get a full score. After 4 rounds, Su Mingyue got 39 points. Lin Jun's score was still 0. 5 points ahead of Su Mingyue. This battle also made people fully aware of Lin Jun's strength. This young man from Bing City was not inferior to an elite intermediate warlord. The two of them continued to climb until they reached the 5th level. This was the only level that people could not see. Everyone was waiting for the result. As long as Lin Jun passed, he would definitely be the first in the beginner group. If Su Mingyue passed, she would definitely be the first in the advanced group. It all depended on whether they could overcome their inner demons. The 5th level was to explore the deepest fear in one's heart. This level had little to do with one's strength. The key was whether one could overcome the fear in one's heart. Lin Jun arrived at the 5th level. This was already at an altitude of 2,000 meters. It was also the end of the stellar fruit tree's trunk. The path forward had also disappeared here. Looking at the surroundings from the platform on the 5th level, there was already a lush canopy. There was no end to the green canopy that covered the sky and the sun. It was like a forest country. The staff of the platform once again handed the helmet to Lin Jun. Lin Jun took the helmet and sat down, exhaling deeply.